You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Sports 1440, Stingray Radio Station.
CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray Music app and listen wherever you go.
Have your sports curiosity cured.
Montreal won 61% of the draws game 1. Tampa Bay 51% of the draws in game 2. And a big one there by Cirelli. Here's J.J. Moser. Shoot! J.J. Moser. The Lightning have tied the series.
A veteran of the sports reporting game for over 25 years.
And for Yamamoto, leaves it for Gunther. He goes got it. Getting around Theodore. Gunther shot. Looking around hard. Rebound score. Logan Cooley. 3-2 Bandits.
Breaking down Edmonton's favorite teams.
Fire towards the net. Deflected just wide. Kiviranta with a couple of good looks. Room for Manson. Wrist shot. Blocked again in front. Score! Wins it. The Avalanche survive in overtime.
This is Sports 1440 and the Kevin Karius Show.
All right, here we go for Saul, 650. Wow. Wednesday, April the 22nd. Spring just won't knock on the door, will it? We're looking at temperatures in the City of Champions a little lower than what we'd like at this time of the year, especially for game number 2 tonight of the Stanley Cup playoffs between the Edmonton Oilers and the Anaheim Ducks. The Oilers, of course, won game number 1 by a 4-3 count on Monday night. And again, you think it's easy. Think again and just go ask Vegas. Go ask Colorado. I mean, LA could have easily defeated Colorado last night, lose in overtime. Vegas loses to Utah, so that series is 1-1. That's how tough it is and how good the teams are that get in the Stanley Cup playoffs and the postseason dance. Yeah, good morning. Welcome to the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440 on your AM radio dial, on your morning drive into work or wherever you're heading out on a Wednesday morning. Really appreciate you could spend some time with us. You can also watch us on YouTube at Sports 1440 AM. Drop us a like, a subscription. We're also on X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch. And as always, the many streaming services are out there as well. iHeartRadio, TuneIn app, and even sports1440.ca. And if you miss any part of any show, it turns into the many podcasts that are out there on Apple, Spotify, Google, even Amazon. Please subscribe. Select the auto download. It's free. You'll never miss a second of any show. Our text line is open, 833-401-1440. We'll get to some of those as the morning progresses. But yes, it is game night down at Rogers Place. Oilers and Ducks. No Adam Henrique, as you saw him get tangled up with Kasperi Kapanen in front of the Oilers' net early on yesterday, and it was an innocent-looking play, but something bent back as far as his leg, ankle, something like that. He's not going to play tonight. So, I mean, most people assume and figure that it will be Josh Szymanski drawing in at center on that fourth line between Colton Dach and Trent Frederick. Also a possibility of Curtis Lazar. So you have a rookie, you've got a veteran, you've got a right-handed shot center, which is big for faceoffs in your own end. The other thing, too, is Szymanski's faceoff prowess I think it's improved. He's got more reliable. I'm not saying his percentage is no great shakes or anything like that, but he's, I think, getting a little bit more dependable than what you saw at the start of the season. So Connor Ingram, after picking up his first postseason victory between the pipes, 25 saves on Monday night. He'll obviously be back between the pipes tonight. You know, that win for Connor Ingram on Monday night, that's the third time. He's the third goaltender in franchise history to earn a win in his first Oilers postseason appearance. The other two are Jack Campbell and Andy Moog. And Andy Moog, that's way back in 1981 in that series with the Montreal Canadiens in the old preliminary round. The two heroes of game number one, without question, Jason Dickinson and Kasperi Kapanen. I mean, for Dickinson, he's the fourth player in franchise history to record a multi-goal game in his postseason debut. Brian Glynn did it. Yaroslav Puzar and Yari Curry did it as well. Kapanen, his 2 goals. You got to think about this. So he's got 10 career postseason goals. Out of his 10 career postseason goals, 4 are game winners. Now, that's a hell of a percentage. If you're scoring 40% of your goals that are game-winning goals in the Stanley Cup playoffs, that's rock solid. And we saw Leon Draisaitl play after, 5 weeks off and play pretty darn good. 90 career playoff assists thanks to a 2-assist performance on Monday night. He's the fastest player in NHL history outside of North America to record 90 career playoff assists. He did it in 97 games. I'll let the Duke stew on, who had the honor of that record before, 90 assists outside of North America. Leon did it in 97. The guy that he broke the record or whatever did it in 117 games. Yes, our text line is open, 833-401-1440. Good morning, KK, Duke, and Finney. Would you say that Szymanski's face-off percentage is twice as good as the Duke's betting win percentage? Cheers, the king of Fort Nasty. Well, let's welcome in the Duke of Delburne and see if that is a correct assumption. I think it's probably a little higher, Duke.
Depends on the day.
Did you have some sprinkling going last night?
No, I didn't last night, actually. I got home. I went to the driving range yesterday afternoon, enjoyed a beautiful afternoon out in the sun, and then got home and did some putzing around before the games got going. And I just camped, and I didn't even think about getting in on anything because I was a little unsure about a few of these games, in particular the Boston and Buffalo game. And it did end up leaning in the Bees' favor, as I'm sure we'll get into over the course of the morning. But yeah, another great night on that front. And no action for me. I had a little bit of an offer on Monday night, so I needed to regroup, recollect my thoughts, and maybe get back in it tonight.
John just texted in, is it Teemu Selanne? No, it's not, but that's a hell of a guess. It's a great player, but it's not Teemu Selanne. Greater Man Jay just texts in 833-401-1440. Morning, boys. I'm officially addicted. Stayed up late to watch the Vegas game. Production at work is going to be down. Don't tell the boss. You know what? I made it to the third period and then I fell asleep for the Vegas overtime winner, the Colorado overtime winner. I made it all the way through the Vegas game and then watched to the end of the Colorado LA where Nick Roy scored the overtime winner. Man, oh man. You know what? Colorado, LA is not generating a whole lot. I mean, Quentin Byfield had the breakaway, gets the slap on the wrists, and takes a penalty shot. A great save by Wedgwood. The thing in the game that was probably the most alarming was the glass being broken behind DJ Smith on the Kings bench because the Colorado fans were blasting it back and forth. And all that glass, not all of it, but a lot of it fell into the back of the head, down the neck of DJ Smith. They had a long delay. And that's a concern. That's a safety concern, man. Holy smokes. And they had to have a long delay. But you know what? Colorado just ekes it out and wins it 2-1 in overtime to take a 2-0 series lead. Utah goes into Vegas and wins at 3-2, touchdown and off the top. If you think it's going to be easy for these teams that are battle-tested, that are playoff medal ready, think again, because teams like Montreal, teams like Utah, they're gunning for you. The Ducks are going to be doing the same thing to the Oilers tonight. You can rest assured on that. You know what? I was thinking, and we hear it all the time, Duke. We've heard it for quite a while about Vegas getting some breaks over the course of whatever it is in a playoff run. There was about 3 minutes left last night, and Vegas had at least 7 guys on the ice, and there should have been a too many men on the ice penalty. They didn't call it. Everyone in Utah bench and on the ice are going, come on, man. It's right in front of you, and you wouldn't call it. And they didn't call anything in the third period. It was Hudson Bay rules. Guys were getting accosted in that game. Utah wins it 3-2, 1-1. As Duke mentioned, Boston and Buffalo. The Bruins win it 4-2. Victor Arvidsson had 2 goals, including the first goal of the game. And again, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Oh boy, what a rough game. The first goal, it's a move that a lot of players make, but you got to close up the 5-hole if you're a goalie like that. Kevin Woodley would say it all day long because there's not a hell of a lot there for the shooter to look at. Close the 5-hole up. And then the big one was obviously Morgan Geekie dumping it in from center ice. And it's the old slow pitch rule. Don't let the ball play you. Play the ball. And UPL let the puck play him, and it bounced in front of him about 3-4 feet in front of him, veered hard left to his left, and goes in from center ice. Just a simple dump in. That really took the wind out of the sails of the Buffalo Sabres. They ended up trailing 4-0, came back late with a couple of late goals, and it got a little nasty too at times there too, but Boston now 1-1 in that series. And then Montreal and Tampa Bay, this is turning into be a real doozy. Tampa wins this one 3-2 in overtime. We discussed it yesterday about how Tampa needed to up the physicality level and just the overall intimidation level. You're trying to do something and get things going against Montreal. Bring that intensity level. Get higher. And they did that, and there was a lot of penalties early, and then there was the fight between Brandon Hagel and Juraj Slafkovsky. Hagel ends up getting the Gordie Howe hat trick. Tampa wins at 3-2 in overtime on a nifty goal by J.J. Moser, who went around Kirby Dach, who one play earlier didn't grab center ice and flipped it in, and it caused an icing call, face-off in your own end, and Dach wanted a little interference pick call, but I don't think he took the right route trying to check J.J. Moser at the top near the blue line, and Moser went around him and ended up firing the biscuit in the net. So that's where we stand after some good games last night. Major League Baseball, the Toronto Blue Jays beat L.A. 4-2, almost blew it in the ninth. The old Hoffy time. Hoffman loaded the bases up, and then Louis Varland had to come in and save it. Some wild results in the NBA with 3 games last night and a couple of upsets, if you want to call it that. The 76ers going to Boston, beat the Celtics 111-97 to tie that series at a game apiece, despite Jaylen Brown's 36 points for the Celtics. Portland, big upset, beating the San Antonio Spurs, 106-103. Best name in basketball. Scoot Henderson at 31 for the Blazers. And then the Lakers beat the Rockets 101-94. LA leads that series over Houston 2-0. LeBron had 28 points for the LA Lakers. It is game night tonight here in Edmonton. Can the Oilers take a 2-0 series lead over the Anaheim Ducks? We're going to dissect the game, as you could imagine, quite a bit this morning. We'll have Scott Burnside coming up right after the break from Burnside on Hockey. Mark Spector in his usual 8 o'clock time slot from Rogers Sportsnet. We're going to switch gears and talk a little NFL draft. We did it yesterday with Austin Mock. We're going to do it today with Russell Brown from the Draft Report, as the NFL draft goes tomorrow night in Pittsburgh for round number 1. David Schlemko will slide in, our co-host for Cougar Paint and Collision, on a Wednesday morning, as we will discuss the Oilers and things around the National Hockey League. We got Zack Kavanagh from the Sporting Tribune. Sporting Tribune covers the Anaheim Ducks. That'll be our game of the day for St. Albert Dodge at 9:20. And then Dan Kingerski from Pittsburgh Hockey Now. Been covering the Penguins for an awful long time now. The Penguins are up against it tonight. Game number 3 in Philadelphia, after dropping 2 games in Pittsburgh where the Pens were very uninspired. They did not look like the team that pushed and willed itself into the playoffs without Sidney Crosby after the Olympic break. Lost Geno Malkin for 5 games. They have there's no intensity. There's nothing going on with this team right now after watching them in the first 2 games. But hopefully Dan Kingerski can shed a little light on that coming up in the 10 o'clock hour. When we come back, Scott Burnside from Burnside on Hockey. It's the Kevin Karius Show with the Duke of Delburne and Josh Fenwick on Sports 1440 AM radio. We're streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch.
Want to invest in Alberta's workforce, fill your talent pipeline, and get funding? Careers, the next generation connects employers with motivated, pre-vetted youth through funded internships. Easy, impactful, and risk-free.
When you work with a group like Careers who have experience in that area, they can demystify and navigate all the complex steps and stakeholders that have to be involved.
Visit careersnextgen.ca today.
Looking for a solid 4x4 that checks all the boxes? The 2026 Jeep Compass is in stock now at St. Albert Dodge, and this is a great value, starting from just $36,900. It's a Jeep, so you've got 4x4 capability, plus features like an 8.4-inch touchscreen, Apple CarPlay, active lane management, a Park View rear backup camera, and more. Over 30 in stock right now in just about every color you'd want. Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Great news for your weekend project. CFI, that's Custom Floors Inc., is now open 6 days a week with Saturday hours from 10 till 2. Get top quality Canadian products from Beaulieu with the convenience you need. For your free estimate, visit CFI at customfloorsinc.ca.
I'm good to go.
With Mortgages to Go, you'll be good to go. Mortgagestogo.ca says yes when the banks say no. That's why Alberta has trusted Mortgages to Go for over 23 years. If you need cash and have equity in your home, you're approved instantly, guaranteed. Call 1-888-888-5998. That's 1-888-888-5998. With Mortgages to Go, you'll say,
I'm good to go.
For over 60 years, the folks at Diablo Boots have been selling the best Canadian-made boots. Handcrafted in Winnipeg, Canada West makes the best quality cowboy, biker, and work boots for Diablo Boots with replaceable soles and heels. Why buy cheaper quality like Ariat, Justin, and Red Wing made in China when Canadian-made is better? Support Canada's workers and Diablo Boots for the best boots. So save on boots by Save on Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save on Foods. Canada West and Diablo Boots, the 2 best names in the boots business.
The longest running basketball show in Canada airs every Saturday morning at 10 on Sports 1440. Hoop City with Paul Sir introduces a new generation of basketball talk, and it's right here on Edmonton's home for sports, Sports 1440.
There's nothing like a spring sunset by the lake. Oh, wait, that's a pothole. And that was a new truck.
oh, what the
Springtime in Edmonton also means project time with help from Metal Supermarkets. Huge inventory cut to your precise requirements, plus metal bending, drilling, punching, notching, plasma cutting, welding, even delivery. Metal Supermarkets, the convenience stores for Southside, West End, metalsupermarkets.com.
Alan Olson Auctions presents the annual Rimby Spring Consignment Sale. Today is your last day to bid online at alanolsonauction.com. This massive 5-ring auction includes farm machinery, vehicles, RVs, skid steers, attachments, lawn and garden equipment, livestock equipment, and building materials, tires, tools, and so much more. Plus 3 real estate auctions selling in Rimby and Parkland County. For more info, call Alan Olson Auctions today at 403-843-2747 or visit alanolsonauction.com.
Heard of Uline? You know, the have-it-all in-stock, ready-to-deliver shipping and industrial supply specialists. The company that does things for you that are unheard of, like keeping 41,000 items in stock in our own warehouses. Customer service reps on the line to get you what you need when you need it 24/7, 365 every time. Maybe you heard it here first. Want to hear more? Visit uline.ca. ULINE, your shipping and industrial supply specialists.
Welcome back to Nissan Head-to-Head. Today, we've got the Nissan Rogue Platinum showing up with an unbelievable estimated highway range of up to 800 kilometers per tank. Some of the other guys are stepping up now with yet another fuel stop. Some wins are really obvious.
Right now, finance a Nissan Rogue Platinum for 0% for 60 months. Visit Nissan.ca for details. Conditions apply.
Visit your local Edmonton and area Nissan dealer for more information.
Stories, guests, and insights. This is Sports 1440 and the Kevin Karius Show.
All right, welcome back to the big program. 7:21 in Edmonton, and time now for the Puck Report, brought to you by Fountain Tire. At Fountain Tire, we can meet all your car needs and more with our digital vehicle report. We just don't tell you what your car needs, we show you. Book your appointment at fountaintire.com today as we welcome back Scott Burnside from Burnside on Hockey. Good morning, Burnsy. You're with Kevin Karius. Thanks for jumping on Sports 1440 again. Really appreciate it.
Kevin, it's always good to catch up. You guys relaxed after game one, getting ready for game two. I'm curious to see how things unfold after kind of maybe a bit of a slow start for the Oilers to this playoff season.
Well, it's just because of the fact that some teams have played, a couple of games and the Oilers are catching up, but they had a really good first period here and then let the gas off in the second in game number one. And luckily, got a couple goals in the third. But when you were watching that game, what did your eyes tell you? And again, these are some dangerous teams. You saw it last night with Utah. Anaheim's a dangerous team with all the talent. It's not going to be easy for a lot of these maybe veteran-laden teams to advance.
Yeah, I think and I think you're right. When you wait, you watched all the other series get going, and then a lot of series are actually into their second game by the time you actually step on the ice. I think that's. No, I think there's a mental part of that, right? That you feel like you've got to catch up on the rest of the playoff field. And, Anaheim's an interesting team. To me, they look like a team that had pretty much run out of gas. It's the last, call it the last month of the regular season, had a chance to win the Pacific Division. But this is what happens with young teams that are and this is, I know they have, a number of veteran players, but really this is a young core that is going to learn on the fly about life in the playoffs. And I thought that, they took advantage of some undisciplined puck play by the Oilers and some, a lack of discipline in terms of penalties. And to take that lead after falling behind 2-0, I thought showed a lot from the Ducks. But, listen, one thing about the Edmonton Oilers is that even on a night when, with a rare night that Connor McDavid doesn't find the score sheet, to me, this is a mark of a good team that maybe you're not at your best and maybe you do some you have some self-inflicted injuries along the way and you still find a way to win. And I'm so pleased for Jason Dickinson. Got to know Jason, a little bit when I spent a year in Dallas when he was a young player there and a first round pick. And I remember chatting just about the expectations of being a first round pick. And he's, he hasn't been a guy who, has scored a lot during his NHL career. And yet to me has really defined himself and who he is as a player, as such a responsible, mature, smart player. And I know there were a lot of people maybe who thought, geez, that's a lot to give up, for a player like that at the trade deadline. And you weren't maybe expecting what we saw from him in game one, but just a beautiful breakaway goal, great pass from Wallman. And then to add a second goal, to me, that's an important statement, and especially for a guy who probably wasn't feeling 100% going into game one. So really pleased for him. And of course to see Leon Draisaitl in the lineup, and I thought his work on the winning goal was outstanding. And he's I'm curious to see how both teams come back to the ice in game two. I'll be a bit surprised if the Oilers aren't a more complete, dominating team throughout. But that's the great part about you got to play it.
Yeah. Scott Burnside with us on Sports 1440. You know, back in 2017, Burnsy, when you saw this Oiler team and, you know, Connor and Leon were just getting going and Nugent Hopkins and, you know, the pieces of the puzzle were being assembled, it sort of reminds you of where the Ducks are right now with all this great young talent, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, I think that the comparisons are very apt, and you know you're wondering what you have as a Ducks team, and you know, as I say, I thought that, you know, for quite a long time I thought it was legitimate to ask whether Joel Quenneville was going to be in the Jack Adams discussion as Coach of the Year, and I think probably, you know, again, doesn't diminish the work done by the Ducks and certainly by GM Pat Verbeek in terms of assembling a group that could take a pretty big jump to get to the playoffs. I know I ran into Alex Gilchrist, who's worked for the Anaheim Ducks for many, many years, and we spoke at the end of the regular season last year. Mm-hmm. And he said to me, he says, we're going to be in the playoffs next year. And I thought that it might have been a bit of a giant step, but they were able to make that happen. And you're right, there's so many terrific young players on that team, and they're going to learn so much. You know, I fully expect Edmonton's going to win this series, and they may win it going away in 4 or 5 games. But what a great experience for, you know, guys like Leo Carlson and this group of Jackson Lacombe, and the group that's been assembled in Anaheim is not going away anytime soon. And I think that's good. I think it's good for it's good for teams, you know, when they go through a period of, well, Edmonton knows this, right? When you go through a period where you don't have success, and you feel like you're sort of a forgotten franchise and you wonder if the fans will stick around. I think it's really important, you know, to see those cycles reverse themselves. And, you know, Anaheim was such a good team for so long. They weren't. And now we're going to see. But I think they're going to be a good team in the coming years. And they're going to make the Pacific Division a very interesting place to play in the next few years.
Yeah, game number 2 should be interesting tonight down at Rogers Place. Scott Burnside from Burnside on Hockey, our guest on the Kevin Carey Show here on Sports 1440. Wanted to kind of just regroup and recap around the league with some games last night. And what the thing I wanted to start with was really dangerous situation in Colorado with the glass kind of snapping, breaking, and shattering behind the bench of the LA Kings with DJ Smith, the head coach of the LA Kings, getting the brunt of it. I mean, this is a pretty serious situation here. And is the league going to look into something like this? What's your take on it here, Scott?
Yeah, no, and it's interesting. And DJ and I've known each other a long time. When I first became a sports guy, he was captain of the Windsor Spitfires. And then I was, as you know, I was doing some content for the Kings the last couple of years. And so, you know, got a chance to reconnect with DJ and such a, you know, I think he's a really good, smart coach. And yeah, that's a shocking situation to have, and to you know, you wonder, you know, how the league and the Avs will address this, and you know, want to make sure that something, you know, like this doesn't happen. And you know, thankfully it wasn't, you know, glad that you know, people weren't seriously injured, so that's a good thing. And you know, really interesting couple of games for the Kings there. And hard to imagine the Kings aren't going back to LA down 2-0, feeling like they let some opportunities get away from them, especially given that the big guns from Colorado haven't really presented themselves in this series yet. But the Kings just don't have enough offense. That's just the bottom line of it. They haven't scored an even strength goal. They have 2 power play goals from Artemi Panarin, and that's all they have to show for the first 2 games. And listen, unless you can muster a way to find more offense, this series is going to be over in a hurry. Even if you are keeping the Avs at bay, those are sort of moral victories, and as everyone knows, they count for nothing in playoff time. And just, you know, sure, DJ Smith will be happy to get back to LA though, in the glass there. So.
No kidding, for sure. Scott Burnside with us on Sports 1440. The Boston Buffalo series is tied at 1 now. When's the last time you saw a play like UPL, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, allowing a goal like from center ice on a little dump in? I mean, it was on Leafs goaltender years and years ago, I remember. Oh, crazy play.
Yeah, it looked like some of the plays I used to put on when I was playing softball for the the Windsor Star mixed slow pitch team back in the day. That was always it was when you're learning baseball, get your body behind the ball. And I felt this is a really interesting series. And of course, the Bruins felt they let Game 1 get away from them and gave up 4 unanswered goals in the third period of Game 1 before scoring late to make it 4-3, but really let Game 1 get away from them. And it looked for a minute, after they got up 4-0 early in the third period, Victor Arvidsson scoring 16 seconds in, and Sabres scored a couple goals to make it a little bit nervous for the Bruins and the fans back in Boston. But good on Marco Sturm, though, who have known for a long time as a player and has done such a nice job in his first year as head coach in Boston. And the Sabres play with a lot of emotion, which is understandable given their 14-year playoff drought and the emotion of winning their first game in 15 playoff years. It's such a great story. But for the Bruins, right, like what to me, a good testament that they aren't sucked in by the story, right? Mm-hmm. That's not their story. And they've been, they're a hard-working team. They're hard to play against. Jeremy Swayman, really good again last night. And now to go back to Boston, the Sabres have to be really careful. And I wonder how they would handle all the emotion of this and the ups and downs. Again, we talked about the Ducks being so young. The Sabres, have so little playoff experience in that lineup. And, they're going to have to learn to ride out the disappointments of a game last night. How do you get up off the mat? It was interesting to see Lindy Ruff make the goaltending change. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen being lifted 16 seconds into the third period. I assume, it's 4-0 then. I assume that's about, hey, let's begin the reset process now. Okay, now he goes on the road. How does he follow up, a performance that was below standard for him and certainly below standard for the Sabres? So, yeah, really interested to see how, with the shift of locations now, can Boston capitalize? Listen, we all know that momentum is non-existent, that it's not a real thing, but it will be interesting to see how the Bruins, if they're able to capitalize on playing very well in Buffalo and coming back with a split.
It's almost like the casual fan, like for us up here, Buffalo is a great story. Boston, obviously rich history, but to see if Buffalo were to win this round and continue on, to see the atmosphere and how nuts the city's going, it's almost something that we all want to see.
There's no question. Yeah. And if there's sometimes markets, you want a market to do well. I think a lot of people felt that way about Edmonton for a long time. Mm-hmm. And, maybe you feel that about Pittsburgh. People forget, how bad that team was and how precariously perched that Pittsburgh franchise was, 20 years ago when Sidney Crosby came in the league. And it is important, I think, for teams to rise. There's an inevitable fall off. That's just the way of hockey life. But I do think it's important for franchises to rise up and build something and to reconnect with their fan base and their community. And I'll tell you, Buffalo fans have been so loyal over such a long period of disappointment and mismanagement and poor coaching and all the things that have happened there. I think you're absolutely right. It would be interesting if they move on, play Tampa or Montreal in the second round. How great would it be for the city? It really is. I'll tell you, if you cannot afford to sleep on Boston, have enough parts that, Buffalo should win that series. They're more talented. They should move on to the second round. But sometimes in the playoffs, what should happen and what does happen are two completely different things.
It's going to be a nut house in Philadelphia tonight, as you could possibly imagine, with Philly up 2-0. Is there a chance that the Penguins, after losing 2 on home ice, in your opinion, Scott, can they get back in the series tonight?
Yeah, that's the series that I feel I have misjudged the most of the 8 series. I really thought Pittsburgh was in a good spot coming into the playoffs, and being, relatively healthy, and to have the opportunity for that Hall of Fame core, guys like Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Erik Karlsson, Chris Letang, part of that Pittsburgh Penguins group for 2 decades now, and to get playoff life. I really thought that they would play with more urgency. I thought that they would be a bigger handful for Philadelphia, but credit to Rick Tocchet and that Flyer team. I know over the last month of the regular season, tied for the most points in the NHL, play so tight. They're hard to play against. Dan Vladar, what a great story in goal. And the Penguins have just not answered the bell. They had 2 shots on goal in the first period of game 2. After losing game 1, I mean, where's the urgency? 0 for 7 on the power play, 0 for 5 in game 2. Rookie head coach Dan Muse is going to get a lot of Jack Adams love, full value for that. But boy, he has got his hands full now, and really Rick Tocchet is really, has got the Flyers in the perfect position, headed home for unexpected playoff dates and up 2-0 against their arch rivals. Boy. It'll be quite an atmosphere and quite a challenge for the Penguins to get up off the mat now.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that Philadelphia has more shots on goal when Pittsburgh has the man advantage. That's absolutely nutso to think that. We started with the Oilers, Burnside. Let's end with them. And, with virtually no contribution on the score sheet anyway from Connor McDavid and Evan Bouchard in game number 1, how big of a plus is that, I guess, for the Oilers going into game 2 tonight when that sooner or later 2 of the best defensive players in the league are gonna bust out here?
Yeah, no, I think that again, it's the confidence. This is a team to me when you go to 2 straight Stanley Cup Finals. The issue for me as this playoff season goes along is the fatigue and the wear and tear and the mental toll of playing so much hockey. But I never worry about a team like Edmonton. It was the same Florida the last couple of years. Back in the day, the Kings, teams that, don't really care where they finish in the regular season, as long as they're in the top 8, when they have an off game but can still manage a win. Like, to me, there's so much confidence and so much understanding of what goes into a playoff series. I think the Oilers, I'm sure, are like, yeah, we weren't anywhere near perfect. We got to win. We're not chasing the series. They've already put the pressure on Anaheim now to be better, so they don't fall down 2-0 in the series. But I'll be surprised if this series doesn't get over in a hurry. I just think the Oilers are built that way, and I think we'll see that in game 2 tonight.
What's your coverage look like, Burnsy, for Burnside on hockey, traveling around? What's your focus here, and then moving forward?
Yeah, we'll see how things go. I'm sort of stationary in the first round, trying to keep up with the nightly happenings and all those kinds of things. But try and make a sort of a daily update on the ups and downs and the comings and goings. And there is nothing better than the first round of the NHL playoffs. It's just if you even the casual hockey fan, boy, you can't help but be drawn in by what we're seeing across the NHL landscape this spring so far. And we're not even a week into it. So I can't wait for what happens moving forward.
Well, I'm sure we will hopefully see you here in Edmonton at some point. Thanks, as always, for coming on, Scott.
Anytime, my friend.
Scott Burnside from Burnside on hockey, and our Puck Report brought to you by Fountain Tire. Check out their website, fountaintire.com, and book your appointment today. When we come back, we'll get to some of your texts, 833-401-1440. Maybe hear from Ryan Nugent-Hopkins or maybe Matthew Savoie, who addressed the media yesterday following, there really are no more practices anymore in the playoffs. When you're playing every second day, there is optionals, and few guys that are playing take those optionals. There are a lot of players that aren't playing that are taking those skates, but very few take those optional skates. A lot of guys, like, Trent Frederick doesn't miss too many, but it's just a little tougher for the high-end guys to keep going and banging it out day after day here in the playoffs. That's straight ahead on the Kevin Carey Show with the Duke of Delburne. Josh Fenwick on Sports 1440 AM Radio. We're streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch.
It's Truck Month at Wolf GMC Buick, and we know trucks. And we have the best deals of the year right now. Some have 0% for 4 years. We have 0% for 6 years. That's on our #1 selling GMC Sierra half-ton crew cab, or the Elevation, the AT4, or Denali. Yep, 0% for 72 months. And Costco members get an extra discount on some of our SUVs. Pop in today and drive away smiling. Wolf, GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Come for Canada's largest trade shows, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. And stay for the experience at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Looking for the perfect place to host your next big event? From trade shows to galas, meetings, and concerts, the Edmonton Expo Centre has the space, event expertise, and service to make your next event unforgettable. With over 522,000 square feet of flexible event space, in-house catering, and operational expertise, they bring your biggest vision to life. Learn more at edmontonexpocentre.com today.
Business owners, if rising electricity costs are cutting into your profits, there's a smarter way forward. Right now, federal clean technology tax credits can cover 30 to over 50% of the cost of a commercial solar system, delivering an immediate return on your investment. And in Edmonton and Sturgeon County, the Commercial Clean Energy Improvement Program offers long-term financing for up to 20 years, making solar more affordable than ever. Lock in lower energy costs for decades and strengthen your bottom line. Visit GreatCanadianSolar.com to get started.
The longest running basketball show in Canada airs every Saturday morning at 10 on Sports 1440. Hoop City with Paul Sir introduces a new generation of basketball talk, and it's right here on Edmonton's home for sports, Sports 1440.
Missioner Allen Auctioneering's next Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg public unreserved heavy truck auction is this Thursday at 9 a.m. with tandem and single axle trucks, including tractors, decks, dumps, man lifts, vacs, pickers, service, shunt, and tank trucks, plus more. Info at maauctions.com.
The puck is passed up through the neutral zone, and here's a breakaway. He's coming in hot. He shoots it. Oh no, a broken stick.
When it comes to performance, quality parts matter. Napa Auto Parts has all the reliable parts, tools, and more to keep your vehicle running like a playoff contender. With over 85 locations in Alberta, visit your local Napa store today or shop online at napacanada.com. That's Napa know-how.
Missioner Allen Auctioneering's next Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg public unreserved industrial auction is this Friday at 9 a.m. featuring Japa equipment rentals realignment with 5 2022 to 2020 XCMG 250U, 300U, 360U, and 490U excavators. Search Japa at maauctions.com.
Have your sports curiosity cured with the Kevin Karius Show. This is Sports 1440.
All right, welcome back to the big program. 7:43 in Edmonton. So glad you're with us here on a Wednesday morning. Kevin Karius, Duke of Delburne, Josh Fenwick with you here on Sports 1440 AM radio. You know that Tampa Bay Montreal game last night, it was tougher, way rougher and tougher than game number one. You know, I was surprised, I'll be honest with you. We had Frank Saravalli on, and I mentioned to Frank, I said, that surprised me how Tampa played in game one. I thought they had another level of nastiness, physicality, bullying, stuff after the whistle, all that other, those things that can weigh on a series. And Frank didn't feel that way. And then we had Deandra Lou on, who covers the Tampa Bay Lightning for the Hockey News on later. And she said, yeah, she was surprised that it wasn't that way in game one. It definitely was last night in game two, a lot more. So maybe that's something we'll address with Frank tomorrow. But I was surprised that that was his answer, because I was comparing it to how Washington was successful against Montreal last year. And I will give Frank this, guys like Josh Anderson are, they're accepting this challenge and dishing it out. So, I mean, I'll give him that. But for Tampa to be successful in this series, if you look at how things have been happening in that Atlantic Division the last 2 years with Florida and how their success or part of their success has been realized in the last 2 Stanley Cup championships, it was that X factor of the pushing around and mixing it up. And then Tampa did that this year with Florida and Buffalo. They didn't do it that much in game 1, but we saw it in game 2. I mean, holy smokes, the Hagel scrap with Slafkovsky, and that was a good shot to the jaw. And hey, credit Slafkovsky for going with Hagel, because not too often do guys in Slafkovsky's ilk go with a guy like Hagel. But credit him. He was, he's a bigger guy than Hagel, but out of his weight class, if you want to call it that. So anyway, Oilers tonight, game number 2. In game number 1, Matthew Savoie was relatively quiet. Well, the first line was quiet. So, I mean, that was just part and parcel of everything. Connor McDavid was held off the score sheet, as was Zach Hyman and Matt Savoie. So we're going to see a different mentality of that line tonight. If you really watch Savoie in game number 1, it's almost like he just wanted to dip his toes in the water. It's almost like he wanted to see, okay, what this is all about. The Stanley Cup playoffs. There were opportunities where he could have maybe carried the puck a little bit more, or maybe, just had the puck on his stick a little bit more instead of deferring and getting rid of it a lot quicker than what we normally saw down the stretch. Anyway, yesterday, media availabilities, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins spoke, Matthew Savoie spoke, and here are Savoie's comments to the media yesterday.
Game with the Oilers, how did it feel to come out that tunnel to that crowd?
Exciting. Obviously for me, getting to grow up and watch them and be a fan of them, to be on the other side of it now, it's really special.
What are your early observations about how the game changes in the playoffs and some things you're going to have to figure out and adjust to?
Yeah, I think momentum's obviously a big thing in the playoffs. It can switch really fast. And I think, not getting too high or too low within the game and continuing to just stick with it. I thought our group did a good job of that yesterday and, just stuck with it and found a way.
There's no way you guys underestimated the Ducks' ability to come back, especially having played them in Anaheim. I guess just your thoughts on that second period and how kind of you guys were able to regroup up there.
Yeah, I thought, like I said, our group did a really good job regrouping in the third. Obviously, in the second, they were able to get momentum and have their push and get some extended zone time. But, I thought that didn't really defer our group. I thought in the third we were confident and we got back to our game and we were able to find 2 there.
Is that something that that they have in them, that they're a team that never kind of gives up, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. They play a really fast game. And, you saw it this year, how many comeback wins they had. I think they set a record. So, that's part of their game and definitely something we have to be aware of.
Matt, you've always been quick to praise the leadership on this group. Yesterday, post-game, we asked Jason what the move was like in between the second and the third. He said calm. As a young player, how valuable is it to have leadership that can kind of gauge the temperature and do what's necessary? Yeah, it's huge. Being able to look around the room and see guys that have been in that position before and, excelled in that position and know what it takes to have success. And lots of guys look to those guys and having those guys have big voices in the room is helps a lot.
Did the game feel different for you personally, just given the circumstances and stakes?
Yeah, I think at the start it was, the emotions are high and you're feeling it. But I think I was able to settle into the game and get more comfortable into the third period and just play my game.
So you're playing with Connor McDavid. They had a real good game plan against him last night. He, didn't have a lot of open ice to skate, and he wasn't being great Connor McDavid we've seen so many times. What can you do in your role as his winger to help free up his game?
Yeah, I think when he gets the puck, trying to find open ice, and then when he's coming up with speed, I think trying to create lanes for him to be able to take and suck defensemen so that he doesn't have 2 guys on him. And he's such a dynamic player that he's usually taking a lot of the importance from the other team. They're usually keying in on him. So I think Jaimo and I, or whoever is playing with him, we can do a better job, finding areas to be available for him and also just creating space for him.
Is there a fine line between trying your best to help him get to his game or staying out of his way?
Yeah, I think part of it too is just you got to be at the best of your game. I think when I'm doing things that make me a good player, I think that helps him out when I'm skating, creating turnovers, getting the spots in the ozone to create chances. I think that helps him out. So continuing to build.
That's Matt Savoie. Yesterday, during the media availability, I would expect a whole heck of a lot more from Savoie, McDavid, and Hyman tonight. Threw something at just a minor trivia question regarding Leon Draisaitl. We had an answer just about a little while ago with Timo Solani being the answer, and it's incorrect. But Leon became the fastest player outside of North America to register 90 career playoff assists. Did it in 97 games. Duke, do you know the answer finally?
The answer is
Bingo.
Mr. Stastny.
No.
Oh.
It's not a bad. I mean, you're talking about Peter Stastny?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Peter Stastny was a great answer, but I just don't know about the enough of games played. They had some great series with Montreal back in the day when he was with the Nordiques.
Yes.
But the fastest non-North American player to register 90 career playoff assists, Yari Curry.
Of course.
117 games played. Hey, Duke, this is something pretty neat. When I saw it, it made me think back to the old days. When I was
old days?
42 years ago.
Oh, boy.
When I was lucky enough to play in the SJHL.
Living your dream.
It was. I mean,
for sure.
Yeah.
Growing up in Saskatchewan.
Yeah. But anyway, we're talking about Jason Dickinson being the fourth player in franchise history. Oilers franchise history to record a multi-goal game in his Oilers postseason debut. And I mentioned the names: Brian Glynn, Yaroslav Putsar, Yari Curry. So I was lucky enough to play a season with Brian Glynn. So Brian Glynn and I played 1 year together in the SJHL back in the old Melville Millionaire days. And then from there, he went on to the Blades. And then Brian went to Calgary. And I'll be honest with you, if you would have seen Brian Glynn's body type, and I'm not, this guy he played in the NHL a long time, but I'm not kidding. And Brian will tell you this too. Jamie McCowan got hurt in Calgary, and Brian came in, but he ended up training and working. And like, you talk about a guy having like baby fat as a 17 and an 18-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got to play pro, it changed everything.
Just melted off of him.
Absolutely. He'd be the first to admit it. And without that guidance, and that's guys like Gary Roberts and Jamie McCowan and all those guys in Calgary, he would have never, ever played in the NHL, ever. But he could fire the puck, man. Oh, could he shoot. Coming up on the next hour, as we close out hour number one, we've got Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet. His usual 8 o'clock slot. We'll see what Hey, Jason even got the correct answer. He had Curry. Yes. Thanks to our text line, 833-401-1440. We'll get to more of your texts as the morning progresses, but Spec will be with us right after the break. We've got Russell Brown from the Draft Report, covers the NFL draft, and that gets going tomorrow. And it's going to be an interesting evening because everyone just assumes that it's going to be Mendoza at number 1 to the Raiders. But then the draft starts after that. Who's going number 2? Is it Bailey? Is it Reese? What are the Jets going to do? And then all of a sudden, there's so much smoke, so much fire regarding the running back out of Notre Dame, Jeremiah Love. Would he go to Arizona? Do they want him? Does he go the following pick to Tennessee? There's so many interesting pieces that are going to unfold come tomorrow night in Pittsburgh. And we'll break it down with Russell Brown coming up at 8:20. We'll have another edition of Cam and Egg sometime in that 8 o'clock hour. David Schlumpko is going to be arriving at 9 o'clock, the former NHLer, our co-host from 9 to 11 for Cougar, Paint, and Collision. And then we've got Zack Kavanagh from the Sporting Tribune, covers the Anaheim Ducks at 9:20. And then Dan Kingerski to bust down game number 3 between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers. Can the Penguins get back in this series? You heard Scott Burnside saying out of all 8 first-round matchups, this is the one that he was the most wrong about. And I went heavy duty on Pittsburgh too, even in our fantasy frenzy draft. I just thought, there's not going to be too many opportunities anymore for, this trio in Letang and Malkin and Crosby to do something. And this was a pretty darn good opportunity to face state rival in Philadelphia. And they've no-showed the first 2 games. There has to be pride in that room. There has to be something that gets this team going, that gets them back in this series. And maybe it happens tonight. If it doesn't happen tonight in Philadelphia, she's gonzo Alonzo. So Dan Kingerski will be by with us at 10:20. Before all that, time now for a Sports 1440 update. Brought to you by AWS Welding Supplies in Nisku. Product sales, servicing, calibrating, free same-day delivery of in-stock items in Leduc, Nisku, and South Edmonton. Your one-stop shop for all things welding, awswelding.ca. Here is the Duke.
The Sports 1440 update.
Stanley Cup playoff action last night. The Lightning even their series with Montreal at 1 game apiece. 3-2 winners in overtime. J.J. Moser netting the game winner. In Buffalo, the Sabres fall to the Bruins 4-2. That series now tied at 1 game apiece. Dylan Guenther, Edmonton product, goal and an assist as the Mammoth go on to beat Vegas 3-2. That series tied up at 1 game aside. And the Avalanche opened up a 2-0 series lead over the Kings with Nick Waugh's OT winner, propelling them to a 2-1 victory. In the PWHL last night, New York blanking Toronto 1-0. Vancouver gets past Montreal 4-3. And in the BCHL playoffs, tough one for the Sherwood Park Crusaders as they fall 6-5 to Brooks in overtime from out in the park. Brooks now leading that series 2-1. Coming up later this morning, Team Canada will get underway from the IIHF World Championships, U18 World Championships, I should say, against Slovakia. And in the association last night, the Sixers, 30 points from VJ Edcombe. They surprised the Celtics 111-97. Philly takes it even the series at 1. Portland tops San Antonio 106-103. That series tied at 1. Bad news for the Spurs as well as Victor Wembanyama, MVP candidate, leaves the game due to concussion and will not be available for 48 hours minimum. And in the nightcap, LeBron James turning back the clock, 28 points. Lakers top Houston 101-94 to take a 2-0 series lead. Finally, in the majors, the Blue Jays, they get past the Angels 4-2. Louis Varland picking up his first career save in the bottom of the 9th. Coming up in hour 2 of the Kevin Karius Show, we'll be joined by Sportsnet's Mark Spector and Russell Brown from the Draft Report covering the NFL Draft. I'm Brandon Douglas at your Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique, family-owned, independent liquor store. The selection? Incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
At Fountain Tire, the savings come in threes. Up to 25% off select tires, a mail-in rebate of up to $100 off a set of 4 select tires, and $50 off $150 service. We're basically the BLT of savings. Until April 25th. Restrictions apply. Book today.
Divorce is never easy, but Fairway Divorce Solutions can help.
Their clear step-by-step process addressed all our issues, and we moved through the process quickly.
Fairway didn't take sides. They saved us money and heartache.
My ex, the kids, and I feel like we'll all be okay.
At Fairway Divorce Solutions, trained mediators and in-house lawyers will move your divorce process forward in a professional and efficient manner to achieve a fair resolution and separation agreement. Visit fairwaydivorce.com.
The longest running basketball show in Canada airs every Saturday morning at 10 on Sports 1440. Hoop City with Paul Sir introduces a new generation of basketball talk, and it's right here on Edmonton's home for sports, Sports 1440.
There's nothing like a spring sunset by the lake. Oh, wait, that's a pothole. And that was a new truck. Oh, what the Springtime in Edmonton also means project time with help from Metal Supermarkets. Huge inventory cut to your precise requirements, plus metal bending, drilling, punching, notching, plasma cutting, welding, even delivery. Metal Supermarkets, the convenience stores for Southside, West End, metalsupermarkets.com.
Canadian Tire's Big Spring Tire Sale is back. Save up to 25% on quality tire brands including Continental, Michelin, Motomaster, and Pirelli until May 21st. Conditions apply. Details online.
Tim's Smile Cookie is almost here. And with every bite, you'll help make a difference close to home because 100% is donated to over 600 local charities and community groups. Buy your Tim's Smile Cookies April 27th to May 3rd at participating restaurants in Canada for a limited time.
Just in time for the morning skate. This is the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440.
All right, welcome back to the big program. 8 o'clock in Edmonton. Kevin Karius, Duke of Delburne, Josh Fenwick with you here on Sports 1440 AM radio. We're streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch. And right now it's time for On the Mark, brought to you by Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. The playoff push is here. And you know what? In April at Northgate, there's just no pressure. There's no giveaways, no phony prizes, just good old-fashioned deals. See more at northgategm.com as we welcome in Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet. Good morning.
Just watching some highlights here from last night. Another bunch of good games. Holy cow. I see there's baseball on this aft.
What'd you make it to? What's the last game you saw live last night?
I was out with Chris Johnston last night.
Oh, CJ.
Sean Gentili from The Athletic and Eric Stevens. So we went down to that Bent Stick Brewery, little area down there. Had a burger over at Shitty's. It's awesome.
Yeah, at old Shitty's, eh? I've been in there a few times.
Yeah, good spot.
Yeah, those guys would like it down there in the district, eh? In the craft brewery district.
Yeah, it's a cool little thing they got going down there. When I was a kid, I used to work in a city yard down there, but it looks like it's not there anymore. Nice to see they replaced it with breweries. It's an awesome trade.
You know, between that and Bon Ton, come on now.
Yeah. Anyway, made it to the last game. Watched Colorado score the winner in the latest of all the games.
You did, eh? Good for you. That was, yeah. I made it to the end of the third of that one, and then that was it.
Called it a day. Yeah. Well, 0-0 is kind of dull. I mean, the Kings had that, you know what? For 120 minutes of that series or whatever they played. I mean, what was the game the other night? 2-0 for Colorado, game one, and then 1-0. I mean, that's what the Kings want to play. They want to everybody wants to keep Colorado scoring down and play a low event game against the Avs. They got that done for 2 games and lost them both. So I'm not sure what that means for the Kings.
Well, I mean, you know, Byfield had a penalty shot there. You know, that goes in spec. You never know. Maybe it changes a little bit of the.
Oh, for sure it does.
So it was a good save by Wedgwood for sure. Nice glove save. So, you know, hey, I had Burnside on, Scott Burnside, another old buddy of yours, and we were talking about in that game with the glass coming down on DJ Smith. Man, that's dangerous. Wow.
Yeah, I'd missed that part.
Oh, did you?
It was like,
did you see it though?
No, I haven't seen it yet. I'm looking at the highlights right now. I'll get to it, I guess.
Yeah. So anyway, you know, he's standing there, the whole bench, you know, the coaches, you know how they are against the glass. Well, the guys behind, you know, the fans started shaking the glass, and all of a sudden it just shatters all over DJ Smith.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's pretty dangerous, to be honest with you. So it took them, I don't know. Well, that's why you were watching that game late, because they had about a 20-minute delay.
Really? Who ever heard of that? I mean, that's like the guy in Philly that fell in the penalty box against Domi.
Yeah. Well, that was funny. Hey, did Harry Neal have the best call on that or what? Look out, Ty. Look out. Oh, it's fair game now, Ty.
Yeah, poor old Ottawa. They're not going their way. And, I mean, I don't know. These series are fun. And, you know, you look at a team like Utah, we're learning something about them. They came back and they're quick and fast. And I'd be nervous if I was Vegas in that series.
I'll tell you what, and I said the same thing at the top of the show, Spec. I'll be nervous if I'm the Oilers as well, because, Utah and Anaheim are similar with all those young guys that scoot around. They're fast, they're quick, they dart in, they pass the puck quickly, they find the open guy quickly. So if Oiler fans think that this is going to be an easy series with the Ducks, I think they got another thing coming here.
No, I think you better beat the Ducks now.
Yeah.
Because they're just going to get harder and harder. Listen, that's the cyclical nature of sports. The young teams, the rebuilds are starting to come through. Like that Atlantic division is finally, I think, maybe we're watching it flip here. Maybe we'll see what happens with Florida next year. I'm not saying they're done, but there's a couple good young teams in that division coming up. Montreal's certainly one of them. And it doesn't stay the same forever. The Pacific is the same. It wasn't so long ago when San Jose and Anaheim and LA were running that division and all the Canadian teams were not very good. And now it's sort of an Edmonton Vegas situation, but is it, the other guys are coming, man. That Anaheim team, they're going to win this division sometime soon. It's just it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah. And San Jose's next.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes, sir.
As you say, it's a cyclical thing, and it's about trying to reload as best you can for as long as you can. Because if you don't, then you're going to be in a position where you're going to be irrelevant for a number of years. So, what's your take on tonight's game number 2? After we didn't see a contribution on the score sheet anyway from 97-2 in game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like having we've all our listeners out there. Everyone's thinking the same thing. Yeah. You win when McDavid doesn't get a point. That's bonus because he's going to start getting points. Like he's not going, if they handle him for a second night in a row, first of all, I'd be very surprised. And second of all, I think I'd start to get a little concerned.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not something we've seen, particularly in the playoffs. So I would say to you that Anaheim has to bring a lot more if they're going to win tonight, because I feel like that's the Oilers' performance will go up from game 1. I don't think that they were particularly good in that game. They gave you, the first period they were good. Then after that, they were just okay. So I'm not guaranteeing Edmonton wins tonight, but I think I can guarantee you that the first line will get a point or two. And if I'm Anaheim, it means I got to catch up here.
Yeah, you would think so. Mark Spector with us on Sports 1440. So Adam Henrique's out, as you know, Spec. That was announced yesterday when you're down there. Is it totally just a total assumption that Szymanski draws in here, or some whispers of maybe a possibility of a Curtis Lazar too?
Yeah, it depends what the coach wants. Does he need the face-off man in Lazar because Lazar's better at that?
Mm-hmm.
Does he need a penalty kill guy, to replace? Like which skills of Henrique are you trying to replace here? Szymanski's bigger and younger and quicker than Lazar, but Lazar's got more experience and he does some specific things that maybe you want out of that fourth line center. So, I'd like to see Szymanski come in and play. I like the thought of Frederic, Doc, and Szymanski, 3 big, youngish guys on that line, skating around, hitting some people, causing some chaos. I don't mind that. That'd probably be a fun line to see, wouldn't it?
I think so. And as I said, it's almost like interchangeable who plays at center between Doc and Frederic. Do you see that too?
Yeah, it's that line's about the wingers, right? That line's about the wingers getting in on the forecheck. But that doesn't mean the center can't do the same thing. It's a fourth line, so their priority when they go over the boards is don't get scored on. That's just what fourth lines are about.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a little ice time and don't get scored on. But they can inflict some damage. 2 big wingers like that, I like that line.
Oh yeah, and that's what I mean. But for me, it's more about Frederic and Doc being, down low more, and then whoever the centerman is, whether it be Henrique, whether it be Szymanski, or even Lazar as an F3, their responsibility is in the higher slot and not to get sucked down there like sometimes a centerman can do.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair, and that's. When you're fourth line center, your roles are different. You have a different, and especially when you're playing with a couple guys, you can't always stay in great defensive position when your job is to go in there and bang on defensemen.
Yeah.
What do they say? When you throw hits like that, it can take you out of position. So that 4C has to be aware of that for sure. But I'm happy to see an Oilers fourth line with an identity because they haven't had one of those for a long time.
Exactly.
Usually it's in the past, it's just been some old guys down there that kill penalties once in a while and don't play much. So this new incarnation in Edmonton, it's welcome for me. I'm happy to see some guys that make a defenseman, keep his head on a swivel a little bit.
Yeah. Mark Spector with us from Rogers Sportsnet on the Kevin Karius Show here on Sports 1440. Two guys off the Ducks that were their two best players the other night were Troy Terry and Leo Carlsson. Carlson's going to be a star in this league down the road. He probably is right around the corner. Terry's been waiting a while for this. He's a little bit older, obviously, than Carlsson, but this is a guy that's, man, when he's in there and his game is on, this is a dangerous, dangerous player.
Well, he's always had great offense to his game, I've always thought. I'm looking at his hockey DB profile. He's certainly a 20-goal man every year, 35 assists. That's a 55, 60-point player. So on a not very good team up until now. So that's good production. He's kind of in that middle zone. Like they got all these kids that are 21, and then they got a couple of older guys like Carlsson. And in the middle, it's Troy Terry. He's only 28. We don't know much about him. He's American guy. You don't see him. He doesn't make all-star teams. You don't see much of him. But when you watch him play through a series, you go, man, that guy's a pretty good player.
Yes.
He's got some skill, and you can't all be 21, Kev. When you're running a team like Anaheim, they can't all be kids. And this is a guy who's a veteran, and he's kind of leading these guys along a little bit.
Well, he missed a quarter of the season approximately, right? So, take that out. He's a 25, 30 goal guy. So, and then Carlsson, he missed about a dozen games too. And this is a guy that is a load. All those guys between Carlsson, Gauthier, and Seneca, they're 19, 20, 21, and they're all, their average is probably like 6'1", 6'2", and 210. So they can cycle and they can do it. But what do you make of Carlsson? Like this guy's ceiling, he's going to be a 100-point guy soon in the NHL.
Oh, yeah, and he's huge. He's like a young Leon Draisaitl for me. That's what he looks like down there. Anaheim did a nice job. Like, it's one thing to do your rebuild and get all those draft picks, and then it's another thing to draft the right guys and develop them properly, And they made that trade with Philly and got Cutter Gauthier, which was, very controversial, but boy, he's a good player. They drafted Carlsson in the 2-hole, and he's in his third year in the league, he's got 29 goals this year in 70 games. So he's turning into at least a 30-goal guy, and that's just going to go up from here. But he's big and strong and really good. Like, he's a good-looking player, man. Probably their best forward at this point, I would say.
Yeah.
And get used to him because he's going to come rolling through Edmonton for a while here, and he's just going to get harder and harder and harder to deal with. That's for sure.
Connor Ingram, first game really in the playoffs, as he said. I thought his clip was outstanding. Listen, I played at the Moulet Arena, as I call it, the Mullet. And it's a little different. And even Jason Dickinson said the same thing, coming out of the tunnel. It's something new for these guys too here.
Yeah, I think that, we were talking on Jason's show yesterday. I think Oilers fans should be proud they've got a thing going here. Like, that anthem is something special. I've been to lots of road games around the league in the playoffs, and there's loud buildings for sure. Other buildings are loud. Buffalo's loud, I'm sure. I haven't been there yet, but Edmonton has that thing at the start of the game with that anthem where everybody sings it. And, it's when they come out in Edmonton, the people running the scoreboard do a nice job. They time out that video montage to the doors opening in the Oilers room, and we watch them come down the tunnel and out onto the ice, and the place is crazy. It's, say compare it to Dallas. They get loud in Dallas when they score, that's for sure. But Edmonton, they have that opening there, and guys talk about it around the league, man. Guys, Lucas Dostal was talking about it last night. He said, when that anthem was going, man, I looked around. He said, it was crazy in there. And guys are, even pro athletes who've seen a lot and played a lot in a bunch of crazy places, that anthem thing they have going, those fans in Edmonton, it's unique and good for them, man. They should be proud of it.
And it fires up the other team too. It fires up.
Oh, for sure. Fires up everybody. That's okay. Fires up everybody.
Oh man, yeah, you're right.
Veterans get nervous. Like even the guys that have been around a long time, they say you get some butterflies when that's going on, and that's good. Butterflies are good for sports, man.
As long as Tony Brar doesn't have a heart attack.
Yeah, Tony did a great job with his opening too, for sure.
What a whack job, eh?
Yeah, he's a bit of a whack job, but he gets the job done down there.
How do you think this one unfolds tonight? I mean, the Oilers fed off that and were by far the superior team in game number one. And then that goal earlier in the second, it made the Ducks believe, and, it was a different outcome from the game standpoint as far as momentum went moving forward. How do you see this one unfolding tonight?
Yeah, I mean, the Oilers are experienced, and the one thing that they'll tell you is, like, the old scout always said, the other team's trying to.
Mm-hmm.
Anaheim's going to get a push. They're going to have a part of the game where they're better than you are, and they control the play. That's just inevitable. You don't get 60 minutes of a playoff game going your own way. So for me, the Oilers have to get better at dealing with Anaheim's push and surviving it, right? Don't give up 3 when they have a push for a whole period. Give up 1. That goal in the first shift of the second period was a real tone setter that a veteran team shouldn't give up. You shouldn't give up a goal. What was it, 14 seconds or something into the period?
19, yeah, 19.
Yeah, that's not what a veteran playoff team does. So I would say to you that the Oilers I expect the Oilers to be, they should have a better ability to keep this game in control. I think it's kind of funny to say the Oilers want lower event hockey than Anaheim. They want a game that's not that much going on, and they feel they can win. So, and I think the last thing I'd say is at some point, this Oilers power play is going to wake up.
They have to,
right?
yeah.
At some point, they're going to, I'm sure that Connor McDavid will figure out his own entries. Leon Draisaitl won't fan on pucks. It's going to come back together here. And that's such a serious weapon for the Oilers, that power play, that they've operated without it for the last 15 games or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Once it comes back, you'll notice they look like a lot better team, man.
I think too, at the start of the game, I'm expecting the Ducks to have their biggest push right now so far at the start of this game tonight.
Okay.
How I think the Ducks are going to go into this, because they were close to winning this one, man. They were a couple minutes away from sending it to overtime. So I think the first couple minutes here, or first 5 or whatever it is, that's going to be key for me.
That's great. And you know what? Like I say, it's going to happen. You have to expect it. The other guys are good, and they're coming at you. So you got to survive. There's always survival mode in playoff games. And you don't get to 2 cups by every time the other team gets a push, they also score a goal. Sometimes you got to have a push. Let them have a push, but you got to defend and get some goaltending, and I think the Oilers can do that.
Good stuff, Spec. We'll see you down at the rink later tonight, big guy.
All right, man.
Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet on the mark, powered by Northgate Chevrolet. This truck's for you. Check them out at northgategm.com. When we come back, we're going to switch gears, and we're going to talk a little NFL draft with Russell Brown from the Draft Report on the Kevin Karius Show. With the Duke of Delburne and Josh Fenwick on Sports 1440 AM radio. We're streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch.
I won't shave till we bring home the cup.
And I like to do a shot for every playoff goal.
My jersey's not coming off until we're the city of champs again.
Want a playoff superstition that always wins? Pick up a bag of Wilhock beef jerky for every game. Because when it comes to the playoffs, where there's a Wilhock, there's a way.
Make every playoff game a Wilhockey game day with Wilhock beef jerky. Only available in Leduc. Get yours today, because you don't bring home the cup with salad.
Need a new ride for road trips, errands, or just life on the go? Go Auto offers a massive selection with over 15,000 new and used vehicles to choose from. With over 70 locations across Western Canada, finding your next ride has never been easier. Whether it's a roomy SUV for the family, a sleek car for the open road, or a rugged truck for your weekend adventures, you'll find it here at a price you'll love. Explore thousands of vehicles today at goauto.ca.
Do you have neck or back pain? Ever go for treatment hoping for a simple fix only to realize your stubborn spine is basically a science project with attitude? Hey, we get it. And honestly, we're a little sorry because great rehab does take proper experimenting. But at Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we don't just toss exercises into the beaker and hope it doesn't explode. We start with the right diagnosis, then mix hands-on care, precise manual therapy, and evidence-based technology. The formula your body actually needs. Science and skill with gratitude, not attitude. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada. Properties include the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility in Nisku, features 2 sheets of ice, a 1,600-seat arena, as well as Summit Restaurant. Learn more at silentice.com.
You wanted local sports on weekends. Saturday mornings at 9, check out the Saturday Sports Setup, where we'll tee up what's happening on the weekend sports scene. Tune in Saturday morning at 9 on Sports 1440.
Welcome back to Nissan Head to Head. Today, we've got the Nissan Rogue Platinum showing up with an unbelievable estimated highway range of up to 800 kilometers per tank. Some of the other guys are stepping up now with yet another fuel stop. Some wins are really obvious.
Right now, finance a Nissan Rogue Platinum for 0% for 60 months. Visit Nissan.ca for details. Conditions apply.
Visit your local Edmonton and area Nissan dealer for more information.
Sports 1440. All sports, all day.
On YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Thanks for listening to Edmonton's sports leader.
All right, welcome back to the big program, 8:21 in Edmonton, and time now for the headliner of the day, brought to you by Mr. Rooter Plumbing, the MVP that you did not know that you needed. For all your plumbing needs, go to mrrooter.ca as we welcome in Russell Brown from the Draft Report, covers the NFL Draft, obviously, on the eve of what's going to happen in Steel Town. Good morning, Russell. You're with Kevin Karius. Thanks for jumping on Sports 1440 this morning. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. Thanks for having me. Happy Draftmas Eve for everybody out there. It's the best time of the year. I mean, we've got the draft tomorrow. We've got Ducks Oilers tonight. I can't wait. I know people follow me for draft stuff, but I love the game of hockey, and I'm very excited for these Stanley Cup playoffs.
Are you fired up? Like, are you a Ducks guy? Are you an Oilers guy? Just total hockey guy? What are you at there?
Yeah, total hockey guy. I'm a Wings fan, and you know I've been around 35 years. The first 25 years I was spoiled rotten, and the last 10 years have been absolutely brutal. And I don't know what the answer is, other than maybe moving on from Comper and Kopp and some of these guys. You know, I don't know. They've got 5 or 6 guys that were playing third, fourth line minutes, and between those 5 or 6 guys and those final. I think it was 28, 30 games, something like that. They only had about 15 points. So not ideal when you need some scoring, and everything kind of fell apart this year. But we'll see what happens with the Wings.
Maybe after the NFL draft, Russell, we'll have to get you to do a breakdown of the NHL draft in June.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the prospects like I do the NFL, but I will gladly talk some puck whenever.
That sounds good. Russell Brown from the Draft Report with us on the Kevin Karius Show here on Sports 1440. So I'm assuming you're like most people and you have Mendoza as a slam dunk to go number 1 to Vegas. Maybe you don't. But if you do, Russell, who do you have at number 2?
Yeah, I think that's locked in. I think he's been studying that Raiders playbook. He's ready to roll. He'll be good to go there with that number 1 overall pick for them in Las Vegas. And at number 2, I mean, I could totally see a scenario where they land on Arvel Reese. He makes maybe a little bit more sense if they want to go a versatile route. They want a guy that can play off the ball, certain down and distances, certain packages. You can play him up at the line of scrimmage. I certainly think he's a far more physical player at the point of attack than given credit for. I like him off the ball as an off-ball linebacker rather than a pure edge rusher. But in a year or two, I could totally see Arvel Reese as a sole pass rusher, edge rusher in the NFL, kind of like Micah Parsons. But that said, I lean towards David Bailey. If the draft were today, and again, we're 24 hours away, but I think the David Bailey's the player that just connecting the tea leaves and putting the dots and putting everything together. David Bailey is the player that I land on. Just every sign is pointed at from the inside sources. You think back to the combine. David Bailey was on the field testing when they panned to Aaron Glenn sleeping in the press box. I wonder if that was just kind of foreshadowing or by mistake, but it was one of those things where it was like, hey, this just makes too much sense. And they need a pass rush. They need to get somebody after the quarterback. And while I have concerns with physicality and how he defends the run, I think David Bailey, from a pass rush standpoint, is one of the best pass rushers in this draft. So he makes a ton of sense at 2.
Russell Brown with us on the Kevin Karius Show from the Draft Report on Sports 1440. I'm not sure why it's gotten so much legs here in the last little bit, but at the number 3 pick with Jeremiah Love in Arizona, it seems to be gaining more and more steam. Do you think that the Cards pull the trigger on a running back at 3, or do they go a different way in a more of a conventional way, if you want to call it that, Russell?
Yeah, I mean, over the weekend, I kind of joked and had heard a little bit of a rumbling of like Jeremiah Love at 3, and I was talking to a colleague of mine, and I was like, could you imagine Jeremiah Love at 3 and then Cardinals trading up from 34, getting in front of the Jets who pick at 33. Maybe they just get up to, 31, or they get to 28, maybe Buffalo at 26, and they get up to there and they just take Ty Simpson in the back half of the first round. And Arizona gets their quarterback and they get their running back of the future, and they really revitalize and give some juice to that offense that I think that's a big guessing game of what direction that offense is going to go. I think ownership's a little bit split. I think some of the ownership and some of the people in the front office probably want Jeremiah Love, but I think Monty Ossenfort doesn't want to roll the dice on premium positions like running back and wide receiver. I think he wants to go with edge rushers and offensive tackles. He's more of a trench-minded guy. So I think he leans towards like an Arvel Reese or a David Bailey if one of those guys are there. But, I mean, Arvel Reese is a hybrid player, and they've swung on some of those hybrid players and they've missed. So I wonder if there's any pause or pushback there. So I could see Jeremiah Love 100%. I know that'd be a crowded running back room, but Jeremiah Love is one of the best players in this draft for a reason.
Do you foresee a lot of teams moving up or down, Russell? And if that happens, is it more so, as you said and suggested, it possibly could happen more at the tail end of the first round?
Yeah, definitely the tail end. I think there's going to be a couple of teams trying to move and get in front of each other. For example, Houston. I think if Caden McDonald is off the board, the defensive tackle from Ohio State, I could see them adjusting their board and maybe moving down to kind of like I said with Arizona, with Ty Simpson potentially hanging there in the balance. But also I could see them getting in a position where maybe they want to jump up a little bit. They want to get in front of a team to take Caden McDonald. I know that's odd to trade for a defensive tackle, but in a weak interior defensive lineman class, a lot of people believe Caden McDonald is the best defensive tackle in this draft. So if that's your guy, go up and get your guy. But I'm with you. I think there's going to be a lot of different moves in the back half. I'll be curious, do the Cardinals trade out of 3? Do they get the Chiefs to bite for maybe a pass rusher or maybe an offensive tackle? Could the Cowboys be the team that wants to get up to 6? They could follow the same framework as the Lions, as they did with the Cardinals in 2023, using the 6th pick and the 12th pick. They made a trade and they didn't give up an extra first-round pick to make that trade. They had made some capital on day 2 work and day 3. So I think that is very possible. In total, I did some radio last night and I was asked, what's the number of trades? And I put the number at 3. But I could certainly see 4 or 5 without question.
Wow. Russell Brown from the Draft Report, our guest on the Kevin Karius Show here on Sports 1440. Here's kind of a double barrel for you in the sense of the Giants. How much do you think that the Dexter Lawrence trade will change the outlook of how this draft unfolds, with the Giants having 5 and 10? And then is it too early to take a safety in Caleb Downs at 5? So kind of a two-pronger for you there, Russell.
Yes. So, starting with Caleb Downs, I don't think it's too early to take him there. Through the entire process from wire to wire, he's been, for some people, the best player in this draft. For others, such as myself, a top 5 player in this draft. And he's a guy that you identify early in the process. And you could notice this when he was back at Alabama back in 2023. Then you see what he's doing here with Ohio State. But you can identify right away the type of player he is. And you can see the clear communication pre-snap from him. You see the physicality, the versatility, the athleticism. It's all there. And it's not like size is a concern. It's not like the testing or measurables. There's no real issues. There's maybe that knee problem, but it doesn't seem to scare teams. And I think teams would probably be a little bit more comfortable taking them between picks 7 through 12. But I think at the same time, the Giants, they need talent and they need players and they need guys that they can trust. And it's about drafting good football players. And with John Harbaugh there, I think Caleb Downs makes a ton of sense there. And then, at 10, the constant name I hear is Vega Ione, who screams Baltimore Raven at 14, but John Harbaugh, former Baltimore Raven, it makes even more sense at 10. So that's kind of the direction I think that they end up going. I think realistically, they would love to walk away with Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs, but I don't think that's going to happen. And I think, for them, they're good with Caleb Downs and then following it up with the best offensive lineman probably in the draft with Vega Ione. And if not Vega Ione, I think going Jordan Tyson, maybe Makai Lemon, maybe even Cardinal Tate, getting a wide receiver would make some sense for them. And I think that's ultimately, what they're considering. Hey, if at 10, we get a wide receiver, not bad. We're not going to force our hand. We're going to get our top ranked guy. And I think their top ranked guy, I think, is Caleb Downs.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Carnell Tate. Do you think he's the first wide receiver off the board? If he is, how close is Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State behind him?
Yeah, I think those will be two guys that we see go in the top 12 for sure. Makai Lemon, I want to say will go also in that top 12, top 15 range, maybe even 16 to the New York Jets. But his draft evaluation's kind of been all over the place. I still think he's going to be a good football player, and I still think he's going to go somewhere in that top 15 range. But it's really hard to pinpoint where that team would be. Where with Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, you could make a case for Carnell Tate at 6 or 7. Same with Jordan Tyson, and even 8 with the New Orleans Saints. And I think there's more teams there. Even the Kansas City Chiefs at 9, and I mentioned the Giants as well at 10. I think there's enough teams there from that 6 to 10 range that makes sense for Tate, Tyson. And even, the Dallas Cowboys, they've been looming. If there's a defensive prospect that they like, they could definitely trade up for. But I think the fallback plan for them is to sit at 12 and take a wide receiver. And they've been often linked here late in the process to Jordan Tyson. So I will be curious if that's a player that they consider. But I would have to say Carnell Tate goes to, a team like New Orleans, and then right behind it would be Jordan Tyson to probably a team like the Chiefs or the Giants.
Russell Brown with us on Sports 1440. You mentioned the possibility of Arizona changing their total outlook of their future with a Jeremiah Love, and then the possibility of a Ty Simpson. With the situation at quarterback with Pittsburgh at number 21, do you think that something happens where the possibility lies where the Steelers might drop down a little bit and Simpson might be on their radar?
He certainly could be. I don't think that'll be the case. I think with some of the Broderick Jones news with him at left tackle and the neck surgery and some of the neck issues that he's having, I think that they lean towards offensive tackle. They've done a lot of research on the offensive tackles. Now, I think Caleb Lomu would be a player that they would be really intrigued with. I also think the same thing with Monroe Freeling. I think both of those guys would make some sense. The player that I kind of have mocked or penciled in right now is Chase Basantis out of Texas A&M. He's a guard, but I think that they've done a lot of research on him. And if they don't go offensive line, I think wide receiver from Indiana, Omar Cooper, former wide receiver coaches there, he would make some sense.
I saw a thing this morning about Seahawks GM John Schneider possibly trading back to get some more picks. I think Adam Schefter reported that this morning, and Schneider was talking about that because Seattle doesn't have a whole heck of a lot of picks in the draft. And is this maybe one of those pieces of the puzzle that you were alluding to that could happen at the back end of the draft here, Russell?
Yeah, no, they've only got 4 picks. I think Seattle's in a prime spot to trade back. I think they would be really intrigued with like San Diego State defensive back Chris Johnson, Arizona defensive back Treydon Stukes. I think both of those guys would be intriguing to them. I also think that they could have some intrigue for one of the guards like Chase Basantis, Emmanuel Pregnan, or even Kalen Rutledge out of Georgia. But I think trading back and getting an additional asset is exactly what Seattle wants to do. I don't think they would make that trade with Arizona to let them get their quarterback or anything like that, but there's definitely going to be potentially a pass rusher there, maybe a wide receiver that a team would want to, be willing to trade up for. And worst case scenario, maybe they sit there at 32 and they just take Tremont McCoy from Tennessee if he falls on their lap. I mean, just draft good football players, let the medical sort themselves out.
One last one for you, because I know you got to run here, Russell, but where do you think Sonny Styles lands, the linebacker out of Ohio State?
Yeah, I think he'll go as early as 4 to Tennessee. I think that makes a lot of sense. And then 7 would be the floor. I think that's the ultimate landing spot for him. 7 to Washington. I think he screams Dan Quinn in that defense, and I think they would love to have him. So I would say anywhere between that 4 to 7 range.
Russell, thanks for your insight. Enjoy the draft tomorrow. Enjoy round 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and hopefully we can chat.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it, guys. Go Oilers.
Thanks a lot. Russell Brown, the newest Oiler fan. Russell Brown from the Draft Report. And our headliner of the day brought to you by Mr. Rooter, knocking your plumbing problems out of the park. That's mrrooter.ca. When we come back, we'll get to more of your texts, 833-401-1440. Oh, man, I missed hot salsas. Sorry, buddy. He asked at 18, do the Vikings go interior lineman, center, or guard? Too bad Eddie Steele wasn't here. Duke, you guys have had several mock drafts. At 18, what are some of the possibilities that you think the Vikings might look at?
Good question. I definitely think, O-line would be an interesting spot for them. The problem is, especially on the interior, there's kind of like a couple guys at the top, but then after that, if they're not on the board, moving for an interior lineman would be a reach. So I think Connor and I have usually had them going to the defensive side of the ball. And because they've had a few guys depart, so whether that's up front, in the middle, or even on the back end of their defense, I just obviously it depends on how things shake out. I would think the Vikings maybe look defensively if there's not one of the top interior guys still left on the board at that spot.
Kristen Miller out of Georgia, Duke.
Okay,
what do you think of that?
It's a good spot.
Never know.
You never know.
You never know. It's not like, they got one of the best D-lines going as it is, right?
For sure. And so if, like, once again, depending on who's still there, I think maybe back into the middle or secondary of the defense would probably be a targeted spot. But as Hot Salsa said, yeah, an interior lineman would be certainly an area of focus.
When we come back, we'll get to more of your text, 833-401-1440. Maybe a stirring rendition of Cam and Eggs. The World Under-18 Hockey Championship is underway, and our own Ladislav Schmid is on the bench for the Czechs taking on the USA, nearing, it's in the first period, all of a sudden the clock is frozen, but am I correct in that, yeah. Duke? Yeah, the clock seems to be frozen. It is scoreless. Haven't seen any shots of Laddie on the bench, though, but we did have a text earlier regarding Keaton Veerhoff, a local product that's going to be playing for Canada. We'll talk about that when we come back. Kevin Karius, Duke of Delburne, Josh Fenwick on Sports 1440 AM Radio. We're streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch.
Come for Canada's largest trade shows, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. And stay for the experience at the Edmonton Expo Center. Looking for the perfect place to host your next big event? From trade shows to galas, meetings, and concerts, the Edmonton Expo Center has the space, event expertise, and service to make your next event unforgettable. With over 522,000 square feet of flexible event space, in-house catering, and operational expertise, they bring your biggest vision to life. Learn more at EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
At Fountain Tire, the savings come in threes. Up to 25% off select tires, a mail-in rebate of up to $100 off a set of 4 select tires, and $50 off $150 service. We're basically the BLT of savings until April 25th. Restrictions apply. Book today.
One app, triple the action. Play Alberta is proof that good things do come in threes. Whether you're into playing any of our exciting casino games, betting on your favorite professional sports teams from around the world, or buying into Canada's biggest lottery, Play Alberta is the province's only app to do it all. Download today and discover a new way to play.
Must be 18 plus to play. If you gamble, use your game sense.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
You wanted local sports on weekends. Saturday mornings at 9, check out the Saturday Sports Setup, where we'll tee up what's happening on the weekend sports scene. Tune in Saturday morning at 9 on Sports 1440.
I'm Dr. Vance Elliott. The goal of every one of the thousands of hair restoration procedures I've performed is a full, natural-looking head of hair. I work directly with my patients for the consultation, the procedure, and the follow-up, so we can achieve the best results possible. When people see what we accomplish, I don't want them to think,
Wow, great hair transplant.
I want them to think,
Wow, great hair.
Go to drvanceelliott.com and contact us today.
A long weekend pit stop without a Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid can be hectic. But when you get a Prius plug-in hybrid during Red Tag days, you can take advantage of an estimated combined range of up to 962 kilometers and get there with fewer stops. Take advantage of Red Tag days on now. Eligible customers can receive up to $7,500 in rebates, including a $2,500 federal rebate on select 2026 Prius plug-in hybrid models. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer today.
For over 60 years, the folks at Diablo Boots have been selling the best Canadian-made boots. Handcrafted in Winnipeg, Canada West makes the best quality cowboy, biker, and work boots for Diablo Boots with replaceable soles and heels. Why buy cheaper quality like Ariat, Justin, and Red Wing made in China when Canadian-made is better? Support Canada's workers and Diablo Boots for the best boots. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. Canada West and Diablo Boots, the two best names in the boots business.
Have your sports curiosity cured with the Kevin Karius Show. This is Sports 1440.
All right, welcome back to the big program, 841 in Edmonton. A couple of questions regarding the under-18 men's world championship at Trenčín, Bratislava, Slovakia. Right now, the Czechs are playing the USA. It's scoreless. Canada plays the Slovaks at 10 o'clock, I believe. Yeah, 10 o'clock our time. And that game is at the Pavel Dimitra Ice Hockey Stadium. Text 833-401-1440. The Real Duke says, good morning, guys. Shout out to Fort Saskatchewan's Keaton Veerhoff, Captain Canada. Run Laddie's boys out of the rink. Well, I mean, for a guy that hasn't even been drafted yet, Keaton Veerhoff is not Captain Canada, but Team Canada, man. This is going to be his sixth appearance wearing the maple leaf in just over 2 years. So you go back, it was the 2024 Winter Youth Olympic Games, the 2024 Under 17 World Challenge, and they got gold there. Then the 2025 Under 18 men's right now, the World Championship where they got gold. They had the 2025 Hlinka Gretzky Cup with the bronze, and then just recently at the 2026 IIHF World Junior Championship with a bronze. And now this is his second tour of duty at the under-18 men's Worlds. So he was playing junior in Victoria, went the NCAA route, and went off to the University of North Dakota at 20 points in 36 games, was on the all-rookie team, and helped the Fighting Hawks reach the Frozen Four. He's going to be a top five, easy top five in the NHL entry draft. So once again, Canada will play Slovakia a bit later. Czechs and USA are on the ice right now. Just finished the first period scoreless. Laddie Schmid doing his job defensively. They're playing Duke at the Vladimir Zarilla Ice Arena. Do you know who Vladimir Zarilla is, Duke?
I admittedly do not.
It's a long time ago, Duke, but it's one of the most iconic goals in Canadian history. Now, Paul Henderson has the number one goal, in my opinion. Sidney Crosby, I think, of your ilk and your age category, is number 2, but a lot of people have Sidney as number 1. I don't see that. But one of the top 4 or 5 goals, I guess you could say, in international ice hockey history was back in 1976, and it was Daryl Sittler in the Canada Cup. And they were playing Czechoslovakia at the time, and Vladimir Zarilla was the goaltender for the Czechs.
Oh.
And that was the goal where he faked the slap shot, and Zarilla came out about 40 feet, and Sittler had the wide open net. And it was Don Cherry who told Sittler that, okay, this goalie comes out, so fake a shot and just hold on to it. You're going to have an open net.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
1976 Canada Cup. And a lot of people think that Canadian team was, because Bobby Orr played. He was at the end of the line too, though. Bobby Orr never got to play in 72. But a lot of people, and then 74 was a different beast all entirely. But 76, they had a hell of a team for sure. Text 833-401-1440. Let's ring up our old buddy Cam Tate for another edition of Cam and Eggs. We'll see Cam down at the rink tonight for game number 2. But here we go, another stirring rendition of Cam and Eggs.
Cam and Eggs. Order 14. Lots on the way, so let's click her into Schnell, or something like that. I don't know what was going through Connor Ingram's mind when he skated out onto the ice for Game 1. I can only guess at the weight of that jersey on a night like that. It was a massive moment, a roaring crowd, a playoff debut. The pressure was heavy. Then he pushed it away. He stepped into the crease and simply went to work. No hesitation, no blinking, zero fear. He backstopped that win with a quiet kind of grace. He found his angle. He found his confidence. He found his place in history. By taking that Game 1 victory, he became only the 3rd goaltender in Oilers history to win his very first postseason appearance with the team. That is rare air. He joins Jack Campbell, who did it in 2023, and a kid from back in 1981 you might just remember, a guy named Andy Moog. I remember Andy's IGA television spots. Andy was also very involved with Special Olympics. If the winning team rides that wave and goes up 2-0, the math gets downright ruthless. 86.3%. That is the series win rate for a team holding a 2-0 lead. But sometimes the losing team pushes back. Things fell apart. Then they came back together. They steal Game 2 and tie the series at 1. When that happens, the trailing team suddenly holds a 52.6% chance to win the whole series. It is a slight edge, a quiet sort of magic we call rebound momentum. And speaking of momentum, oh my goodness, Sports 1440 minutes. Resident poet Billy Shakes just walked in for a verse on momentum. Billy?
And thus the native hue of resolution is sicklied o'er with the pale cast of thought, and enterprises of great pith and moment, with this regard, their currents turn awry, and lose the name of action. Hamlet, Act 3. Onward, vi Oilers! Onward! Camin Eggs, your servant, Billy Shakes, Sports 1440. I bid you all good morrow.
That's good morrow. Duke, were you a big Shakespeare guy in school?
Was I a big Shakespeare guy?
Like a big Bill Shakespeare. Is that Bill Shakespeare?
No. I found the pentamic iambic difficult to read. Like you obviously study some. Midsummer's Night Dream. I really enjoyed that one. We read that instead of Romeo and Juliet, which I think is the standard one for people in grade 10 of my generation. And Midsummer's Night Dream is a comedy. There's a guy who gets turned into a donkey named Bottom.
Okay.
That's a pretty good one. You read Macbeth. I read Othello in college.
Wow. You're well read, eh, Duke?
Overall, I suppose.
You know what you should do, Duke? You should go down, because it's open now, Horlock Park.
Do some Shakespeare in the park.
Do a
or
little
what?
Shakespeare in the park this summer.
Only if Tater's coming with me. Sounds like he's the real expert.
You sit in that amphitheater there, and you just do a little Shakespeare in the park. To be honest with you, I don't even know if that's if it's going, like if the amphitheater is there, because they redid everything. They redid all of Horlock Park.
It had been under some pretty substantial renovations for a couple of years, hadn't it?
Well, for sure. But if it was the amphitheater part of all the renovations?
That I have no idea. I don't actually think I've ever been to Horlock Park.
Oh, you've got to be kidding.
Just in passing.
Duke, okay, listen, Duke, okay.
I would go down to, when I was living on campus, right beside campus.
So disappointing.
I'd normally go down the other way. I'm trying to remember actually what the name of that one is. That's the park on the south side of the river valley.
This is just so disappointing. Duke, okay, here's what you're going to do. You got to get a bike. Get a bike, and this is what I want you to do this summer, okay? You get a bike, and you get a little knapsack. And I don't know exactly what bike path you have to do to get to where our place is in Laurier Heights.
The bike path called 87th Avenue. I'll just ride along the LRT tracks.
I don't know, but maybe drive there. You got a truck, put the bike in there. drive to Laurier.
And then you and I are going to take a little bike ride down?
No, I did this 20 years ago. My days are done. But you drive
down. So why do I have to drive to your house?
Because you got to get to the bike path down towards, you go down and then go around and zigzag by the zoo. Then there's a bridge. You go over to Horlock Park. Now on a Friday after work, Duke, or a Saturday afternoon, you take a little knapsack, you fill your thermos up with some Jackie Parkers or whatever else, Dicoritas, whatever you want, and you get to Horlock Park, and you just, the Frisbees are going, Duke, and people are, they're chumming around, they're talking, and there's, some ladies hanging out, Duke. This is the place for you to be this summer.
It's possible. I'm just trying to look. So
tarps off, too.
The Tropics did their wind-up at Laurier Park a couple of years ago. That was a good time. I enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
We were down there having a few pops and enjoying the weather. And then I suppose it would be Kinsman, and maybe Emily Murphy Park.
Yes.
I think that's the one that I would, sometimes when I'd go on some runs through the river valley, I'd pop in there to enjoy the open quads and have a rest.
Exactly. Like even Triple C in a truck. Don't forget your football, your glove ball. Like I said, your Frisbee. Guys are hucking around the ball. It's just, you're supposed to keep the booze under wraps, Duke, but just put it in a little cup or something.
Right.
Yeah, look at Nails.
I'm currently seeing the Heritage Amphitheater is temporarily closed, but it also says all the picnic sites are closed. Maybe that's just because it hasn't opened for summer yet.
Jeffrey says the amphitheater is still there.
Okay.
See, Triple C, tarps off, mandatory at Horlock. That's how it was. Bad captain. Who the hell hasn't been to Horlock Park?
Listen, have I been past and like inside the green space? Sure, but I've never stopped in there to, like I said, chuck the bee around or do some Shakespeare in the park.
MTR says Duke seems like the type of guy that sits down to pedal faster instead of standing up.
Well, first of all, I'm not a bicycle guy in really any way.
Maybe Lorianne can give you some lessons.
Well, she would need to give me lessons because I didn't, surprisingly, Kevin, for someone growing up on the farm, I actually did not really have a bicycle growing up. I remember, and I might have told a story before, I bought one year at a grad auction in Delburne at the school. And this I would have been probably in like 5th or 6th grade with what part of my 4-H check. I was like, I'm going to spend like $100 and get a bike or something at the grad auction. And then I rode it around like hardcore for a couple weeks, but then my dad ran it over with the grain truck.
Yeah.
And that was the end of that. I never had another one.
So he ran the bike over and
like
just done.
I rode it. It was my fault.
Yeah.
I ride it over to my dad calls the house or tells me, he's like, I need your help moving an auger. So I ride over to the bin yard and I lean it up against the side of the dual tires on the back end of this grain truck. And no thinking about it, because I was like, I'm going to be leaving again once we get the auger moved before this truck's going to move.
Yeah.
But he gets in the truck to back it in under the auger. I'm still finishing getting it pushed into place and getting it started. He backs up and just ran it right over.
How about this cut? It's sort of a backhanded compliment and a cut to Connor from Aaron. KK, the rule of any good host is to keep a producer who's not smart enough to take your job. You have a dangerous man over your shoulder in the well-read Duke. You need to be more like Gregor and find yourself a Connor. Oh, boy.
Ouch.
Poor Connor.
That's an unnecessary shot at the con man.
Scuff Darren says alcohol is permitted at certain parks, including Horlock.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't. I'm just going back, Duke. I'm going back 20 years, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure when we went to Laurier, it's like obviously there's things in place where they want you to keep things controlled and whatnot, but I believe open container is allowed.
I can tell you, Duke, back in the day, those summer bike rides down to Horlock and hanging out all afternoon on a hot day, the bike rides back were sometimes treacherous.
A little wobbly or what?
Well, just going pretty slow. I mean, some crazy hills up there, man.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, coming up top of the hour, we're going to talk a little hockey with David Schlemko, our co-host for Cougar Paint and Collision. We'll preview tonight's game. We'll look back at last night's game, and you know what? We're going to have the under-18 game going on in here, so Schlemmer will be watching that. Not a whole lot of Alberta representation on Team Canada here at the under-18 World Championship. But again, these are, every team, these are the players you're going to see drafted coming up in June. So before all that, time now for a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Sean Cunningham of Remax Real Estate. Get the home team advantage for your next move in the Edmonton area. If you are thinking about buying or selling a home, call or text Sean directly at 780-265-0165. That's 780-265-0165. Here is the Duke.
The Sports 1440 update.
Stanley Cup playoff action last night. Tampa Bay even their series with Montreal. 3-2 winners in overtime. J.J. Moser netting the game winner in that one. Bruins double up on the Sabres. 4-2 to even that series at one game apiece. Mammoth do likewise, evening their first round series against Vegas with a 3-2 win. Edmonton product Dylan Guenther, goal and an assist in the victory. And in the nightcap, Colorado Avalanche open up a 2-0 series lead. Winners 2-1 over LA in OT. Deadline acquisition Nicholas Waugh netting the game winner in Denver. In the PWHL, Toronto blanked by New York 1-0 in overtime, and Montreal falling to Vancouver 4-3. BCHL playoffs last night from Sherwood Park. The Crusaders fall to the Brooks Bandits 6-5 in OT. Brooks now with a 2-1 series lead in that best of 7. And across the pond from Slovakia, IIHF U18 World Championships are underway. USA currently taking on Czechia, and coming up at 10 o'clock, Canada will open their tournament play against Slovakia. Fort Saskatchewan product Keaton Vierhoff captaining the Canadian squad. In the association last night, Boston losing to the Sixers. VJ Edcombe, Rookie of the Year candidate with 30 points, propels the Sixers to a 111-97 victory. That series tied at 1. Portland beat San Antonio 106-103. Bad news for the Spurs is Victor Wembanyama down to injury in that one with a concussion. He's going to be unavailable for the next 48 hours at minimum. And Houston, they go down 2-0 in their series to the Lakers. LeBron James turning back the clock, 28 points in LA's 101-94 win. On the diamond, Toronto Blue Jays win their first series since the opening weekend of the season, 4-2. They top the Angels. Louis Varland coming in the bottom of the ninth to pick up his first career save. Coming up in hour 3 of the Kevin Karius Show, we'll be joined by Zack Kavanagh from Sporting Tribune covering the Anaheim Ducks, and our Wednesday co-host, former NHL defenseman David Schlemko. I'm Brandon Douglas at your Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Today on Hey Culligan, how smart is your water? Here's Tracy.
Hey, Culligan. I think my water might be dumb.
Good news, Tracy. Your water's not dumb. It's just not talking to you.
You can make my water talk.
No, but the new Culligan Smart Drinking Water System can talk to your phone to tell you when your water filters need changing and help you meet drinking water goals.
Now that's some brilliant H2O.
You said it, Tracy, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test from a local Culligan water expert at culligan.ca.
At Booster Juice, doing good tastes really good too. From now until April 26th, every purchase of a Mood Booster Ball will help support the Community Booster Fund. So while you're enjoying a Mood Booster Ball made with caramel, marshmallows, and peanut butter, you're also supporting athletics, community, and educational initiatives across Canada. Let's fuel healthy communities together. For more information, please visit boosterjuice.com. Booster Juice, Canadian born, blending since 1999.
as we all try to figure out when winter will actually stop and spring will finally be here for the season, GS Construction moves ahead with their plans for the year. From planning and digging to laying out underground infrastructure, construction season is limited, so we make every day count. And that's why GS Construction counts on our team to get the job done right. Crews are getting back in action across the city, and we'd like you to join us. We're looking for experienced top men, pipe layers, operators, and surveyors. For more, visit gsconstruction.ca.
It's playoff time, and we've got a lot to talk about. This is Andrew Walker on Edmonton Sports Leader, Sports 1440. Tune in after every Edmonton playoff game for the Legacy Heating and Cooling postgame show. Visit the experts at legacyheating.ca.
Hey, Gary, is that your dad?
No, this is Evan, the new sales rep I hired.
Oh.
First impressions matter, but when hair loss takes over, it can feel like you're not being seen for the maverick you truly are. Hi, I'm Dr. Vance Elliott. At Advanced Hair and Skin Surgery, we know that hair loss is more than just a cosmetic issue. It's personal. Let's discuss all the cutting-edge options available so you can make a great impression every time.
Book a free consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
It's the EV for City Wildlife, the all-new, all-electric 2026 Subaru Uncharted. Quick charging with get-up-and-go performance. And best of all, so much fun. So test drive the all-new, all-electric 2026 Uncharted today and discover why it's definitely the Subaru for you. The EV for City Wildlife. To learn more about this very exciting arrival and all things Subaru, start here. Subaru.ca. Welcome to Uncommon. Welcome to Subaru.
Your game, your station. Sports 1440.
And watch us on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
All right, welcome back to the big program. Hour number 3 of the Kevin Karius Show here with the Duke of Delburne, Josh Fenwick on Sports 1440 AM radio. 9 bells on a Wednesday. That means it's time to welcome in our co-host for Cougar Paint and Collision, where family service and pride have earned customer trust for decades. CougarCollision.com. And that means David Schlemko has arrived in studio here at West Edmonton Mall. Good morning, Schlemmer.
Morning, KK.
Are you loving the Stanley Cup playoffs so far?
Oh, I am, buddy. First round is the best.
Know, isn't it? Last night was hard because there was a lot of later games, and then there was a delay in the Colorado game.
Yeah, I must admit, I went to sleep before overtime from the late game last night. I couldn't do it.
You're right. I made it to the third period, and then I just passed out. I don't know.
Yeah, me too.
Woke up and TV was off and
started nodding off. Couldn't do it.
Yeah. Anyway, some fabulous games again yesterday. Did you see the glass gets shattered there too on the bench?
I just saw kind of the highlights of it. I didn't see that one live.
It's weird, man. I mean,
so what happened? Was it the fans?
Fans were just shaking it, and then all of a sudden it just shattered.
Oh, that's pretty wild.
Yeah. We had some texts coming in earlier that a lot of places are using an acrylic shatterproof glass. But I think that's when the glass shatters, sometimes it's a body check, but 99 times out of 100, it's a puck.
Right. Traveling at like 100 miles an hour.
Exactly. But this was way different. So obviously there was some compromise to it or something like that.
Yeah, it had to be something weird like that.
So I don't know if they had one of those little dust busters in the room for DJ King. And,
yeah, no kidding.
Or like those old flow things in the hair.
Yeah.
They were cutting it and whatever.
Well, I'm sure he was finding some glass there all night.
Absolutely. Like they had
And the
enough
hair
of a
and
delay.
the suit pockets.
I wouldn't be, maybe he had a shower or something because he would have they had a long enough time to get him cleaned up.
Yeah, no, I didn't catch that one. I was kind of flipping back. That Montreal Tampa game though. Wow.
So
what a series so far.
It's best, yeah. I'll throw this one at you, and I brought it up earlier. So we had Frank Saravalli on yesterday, and I said, Frank, I was surprised that Tampa didn't bully it up. And goon is a strong word, but mix it up. Try all those things in game one.
Right.
But they did that, and he said, well, but Montreal can handle it. And I said, well, they didn't handle it last year against Washington.
Right.
But he disagreed, and I was like, okay, well, whatever. We'll see what happens tonight.
But well, they more than made up for it last night. They drug them right into the trenches. But the Habs handled it. I thought they handled it well.
Yes. I mean, guys like Anderson, that was a cheap hit that he took too.
Oof, was it ever?
But I think how much of the success do you think Tampa Bay to incorporate that in their game? How much do they need that to have success in this series?
I think they need it. I don't think they're a more skilled team than Montreal. I mean, most teams they can outskill. I don't think this is one of them. I think you're right. They got to lean on that sandpaper and some of their experience as well. But it's a different game now. I got some thoughts on last night's game after watching some of these scrums are pretty crazy to watch nowadays. It almost seems like it's like flipped in the opposite direction from my generation. And this isn't me saying like, hey, I was a fighter or anything. Like I was not a fighter. But when you get in these scrums and everyone's got a guy, and you see last night's Corey Perry gets the extra penalty, which I thought was bull. He drops his gloves, but he's just hanging on to the guy, right? And you can do that, or you used to be able to anyways, to grab onto a guy. Now he can't get away from you. I mean, now these guys are basically like fighting with their gloves on. It's full on WWE wrestling match. They're headlocking, they're dragging each other down. Like you can just see a guy like blowing a knee out or something in one of these. It's getting a little carried away.
Similar, but not like Leon Draisaitl with Mikey Anderson years ago.
Right,
a little scrum, not a crazy one, but got his ankle bent back.
Right.
So I think that's sort of what you're alluding to here.
It just seems like a little bit less respect. You can see it with the hits too. A lot of hits from behind when guys are seeing numbers and not really letting up. And
so do you think it was more back in your day, more like stinky glove in the face, or like what are we looking at?
Yeah, or like if a guy wanted to go after a guy, I think they just fought.
Well, okay, look at Hagel and Slavkovsky.
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, unless you absolutely hate the Tampa Bay Lightning, how can you not love a guy like Brandon Hagel?
Well, I'm biased to him too because he came into my golf tournament.
Yeah, I mean, he's a local guy. I know him. I love him too. But I mean, even if you don't know the guy, like, just the way he plays.
4 Nations,
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. 4 Nations. Those are the guys that you want on your team, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and then I think I saw the interview with him after, and they asked him about were you surprised that Slavkovsky, wanted to go?
Yeah.
And I think his answer was, well, he said anytime. So I said, well, what about right now? So it's almost like he was calling his bluff,
Yeah.
Anytime. Well, how about right now?
Oh, your eye's a big boy too. I think
He is.
about 6-7 inches on Hags. So.
Yeah. And I mean, I think he did really well at the start, and then it's almost like he got too cocky and confident. Well, I might as well try a left in here or something. And then he got off balance, and that's when he got that hard right to the chin.
Well, it's almost like, like guys practice kind of hanging on and like grappling a little bit after practice, but never actually been hit before.
I don't know how many fights Slavkovsky's had. I have never even checked it out on hockey fights.
He's a big, strong kid.
Well, sure he is. Well, look at his, and plus he's got the mitts too.
Yeah.
Those hands, you don't want to be doing that. Like, I mean, he just pumped in 3 in the first game.
True. Yeah. Probably not the guy Marty wants to see fighting, but at the same time, like that pumps up your bench.
Sure.
Your teammates love that.
Absolutely, it does. How do you think the rest of this series unfolds here then?
With Montreal?
Yeah.
Going back to Montreal?
Yeah.
I think you're going to see more of the same, honestly. I don't think it's going to simmer down much, especially after that Sabrin hit on Anderson at the end of the third there. That was just really dirty. I don't know how you can try to explain your way out of that one.
He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
You know what was funny? Just the way the commentators were talking about it, and in the sense of they were bringing 5 into play here.
Oh, yeah. I thought it should have been.
Oh, that would have been really,
Besides the fact that Anderson kind of looked up and tried to sell it a little, I think that you see that on the replay, and that's what makes you not go a 5. But, I mean, the intent is there. He's hitting him with speed from behind. Puck's nowhere near him.
It's just that it's game 2, and you know how the standard gets set?
I think they were talking about it on the set after. I think it was Bieksa that said, you know what? I think it's a tough call, and the refs just kind of took like the easy way out there.
Well, the good thing is that they called the 5 so they could look at it.
They could look at it.
But
I really like that rule too, now that they do that.
Now, and I don't know, could they have ever called a double minor on it?
I don't know the intricacies of the rule book well enough.
Well, I've never heard a double minor for interference. What if they called 5 for roughing?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I'm more interested to hear from John Cooper why he's out there with 2.5 minutes left. Tie a ball game in the third period.
He got more ice time in the third than he got all game.
You got 2 shifts in the last 5 minutes.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
That won't happen again.
No kidding. David Schlemko with us in studio. So what did you see from the Oilers' first game in the playoffs, the 4-3 win on Monday night?
I saw a great effort in the first period. Came out exactly how they wanted to play. And, I mean, yeah, you got to give Anaheim a credit for pushing back, but of course they were going to, right? I think the Oilers just took a period off. They relaxed a little bit, came out and had a good third. And I heard you talking about the start tonight. I think it was with Spec. I think that's huge tonight.
I just think that Anaheim's going to go, okay, we're going to throw absolutely everything.
Well, they're going to be saying, okay, now we've seen it. We've been through it, right? We know what to expect. We know it's going to be loud. We know they're going to be physical. Yeah. So let's have a pushback early tonight.
Duke made a good point about Anaheim's fourth line led by Tim Wash, who played quite well with VL and Ian Moore in game number 1. And I mentioned it yesterday. To me, when I saw the starting lineup, so at the game, and you see, Washy, VL, and Moore, I would have thrown Connor and
100%.
Yeah, you would have said, look at Connor. These guys, Coach Q starting their fourth line. How would you like to go out and just shove it up their arse here?
100%.
Yeah, and it's nothing to take away from the third line that started because that's Dickinson, Nugent Hopkins, and Roslovic. Nothing against them.
They're going to hand you that matchup on a silver platter to start the game. Take it.
But having said that, when Washy played against Connor's line, they played pretty well.
They were good.
They played well. In fact, they scored the first goal of the game, which was pulled back on the interference by Washy.
Got to give them a ton of credit.
Yeah.
Hey, they did a job. And, Q's, he's showing them, I believe in you guys. He's putting them out there. And they're not rushing to the bench, when the puck gets out of zone, they're doing the job. They're playing their shift. But at the same time, I think you're really playing with fire there. I think Connor's going to eventually start taking that personally. He's going to start hearing the noise that he got that matchup a few times in game 1, didn't take advantage of it.
And again, so he's held off the score sheet. Bouchard was held off the score sheet and had a poor game by his standards.
Pretty casual with the puck.
Yeah. And so I would expect those two guys to be a lot better, which is not good news for the Ducks here. So what would your expectations be for a guy like Bouchard and a guy like Connor who, again, held off the score sheet? Connor had some bursts.
Oh, yeah.
He went around Carlson, went around Gudis. Well, everyone did.
And I mean, we can see what the game plan is with Connor, right? As soon as he touches the puck, he's got at least 2 guys on him. So where he's going to have to be good is drawing guys to him and, setting guys up for chances.
Yeah. I always think there's 2 ways to go about it. And you saw how much pressure and attention Connor received.
Yeah.
So, and
lots.
Tiny little stick taps, just tiny little ones where, the puck might get bobbled or whatever. So he's drawing players to him. So to me, there's either 2 ways to go about this. You draw the players to you, but you got to draw them away from where your teammates are in Savoie and Zach Hyman. So maybe just touch on that, the options that Connor's be looking at here. So he has that, or he's quickly dishing the puck to those guys.
Right. Well, I know that this is the best player in the world, so it's hard for me to like question his vision, right? But I guess the way I'll put it is you got to be a little more alert to where you're going to go with the puck before you get it, right? You're not going to be able to pick it up and wind it up with speed like you've been able to do all year. You're going to have guys on you right away. So it's more of just being ready to move it a little bit quicker, knowing where his line mates are. And like I said, he's the best player in the world. It's an easy adjustment for him to make.
It really is. To me, there was old, when Wayne Gretzky played, because he got, just as much of attention as Connor did.
And he used to be able to do a lot of things he can't do now.
Yeah. But, okay, first of all, like Connor's a way better player than Wayne was, like as far as his advancement in being polished with edge work, stick handling, speed, everything like that.
Yeah.
But Wayne was smarter, and he was the smartest player that ever played.
Yeah.
So I think Wayne would recognize the certain times where to suck guys in and to open ice for his teammates.
Oh yeah.
And that's a trick. It's a trait. It's a trick that, Connor has that, but not at the level.
No,
not at that level.
I don't know if we'll ever see anyone that's at that level again.
Like eyes in the back of his head, back of wherever,
Like behind the net there, obviously he was unbelievable. But even like he'd pull up at like the red line, skating through the neutral zone, pull a tight turn, pull three guys in, and then hit someone for a breakaway,
right?
Like cutting through across the blue line,
So how much is that? Like again, when you're deferring, and like you said, we just mentioned the two possibilities with you, Schlemmer. How much does like Matt Savoie and Zach Hyman have to realize that and get to the open spot here?
Well, it's huge. Yeah. Right. And I think for a guy like Savvy, he's been getting better and better doing that, being on Connor's line the longer he's gone here, right? He's getting better at finding those little holes, and the biggest thing, just be ready to shoot the puck off the pass.
Right. Kevin Karius, David Schlemko with you here on Sports 1440. Coming up right after the break, we're going to tee this one up with Zack Kavanagh from the Sporting Tribune, covers the Ducks. Also coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, we'll go in or out with Schlemmer. And then Dan Kingerski from Pittsburgh Now in the 10 o'clock hour, covers the Penguins. Quick comment on the Penguins, man.
Oof, they're in a hole. Philly looks good, man.
But Pittsburgh looks terrible.
I think it's the way Philly's playing. They're frustrating them. They're clogging up the neutral. They're not giving them nothing, man.
But how can you? They had 5 power play goals or power play opportunities the other night. Give up a shorthanded goal, and also they were outshot by Philadelphia.
That's bad. PP's been bad all year.
10 minutes of power play time, and you're outshot. And you give up a shorty.
With that personnel, too.
And a 2-on-0 that Stu stopped.
Yeah. They're lucky the Flyers' PP hasn't been great either.
Exactly. When we come back, Zack Kavanagh from the Sporting Tribune. It's Kevin Karius, David Schlemko, Duke of Delburne, Josh Fenwick on Sports 1440 AM radio. We're streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch.
Whether you need bodywork, paint touch-ups, or anything in between, the family at Cougar Paint and Collision takes every customer issue to heart.
We've had a lot of really good customers over the years. One guy, he would bring in everything and he would just expect us to be able to kind of fix it. It didn't matter what it was. And one time he brought in his washing machine.
The only thing that was wrong with it was the drum was rusted out or something.
Yeah, he wasn't going to replace it.
Yeah, we had to weld it up. Anyways, he was a nice old guy. Cougar Paint and Collision, our family helping your family.
At Booster Juice, doing good tastes really good too. From now until April 26th, every purchase of a Mood Booster Ball will help support the Community Booster Fund. So while you're enjoying a Mood Booster Ball made with caramel, marshmallows, and peanut butter, you're also supporting athletics, community, and educational initiatives across Canada. Let's fuel healthy communities together. For more information, please visit boosterjuice.com. Booster Juice, Canadian-born, blending since 1999.
It's time to hit the greens. Elevate your golf game with Country Club Tour Golf Academy. No matter your experience, our PGA of Canada teaching pros are here to help. Enjoy lessons year-round between our 7 CCT golf courses and 2 state-of-the-art indoor facilities. Choose the location convenient for you. We offer private lessons, group lessons, expert club fittings, and junior camps. Visit our website to learn more and get ready to take your game to the next level. Booking is easy. Go to countryclubtour.com/golf academy and schedule your lesson today.
Mr. Rooter sees a UFO.
Mr. Rooter says 1 plunge, 2. What's this? A UFO? An unidentified floating object. It's beginning to glow and levitate.
Thank you, Mr. Rooter. You have freed us from the gravity of the white hole. Humanity will be spared.
Wow! People aren't going to believe this when I put it in our new commercial.
If you want to believe in a plumber, call Mr. Rooter.
Do you sit around at work listening to sports radio all day? That's right, my friend. There's no shame in it. It's the good life. And we're not here to snitch. Say, if your company advertised on Sports 1440, you could be the one listening for your company's ad every day. Now you've got an excuse to listen to Sports 1440 all day. It's part of the job. Sounds like someone's getting a promotion. Email Gregor at sports1440.ca and let's get to work for you.
At Hughes, it's all about getting in and out quick and clean. No cash, no problem. With Hughes' new tap and wash system, all you need is your debit or credit card to get your vehicle sparkling clean.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
The longest running basketball show in Canada airs every Saturday morning at 10 on Sports 1440. Hoop City with Paul Sir introduces a new generation of basketball talk, and it's right here on Edmonton's home for sports, Sports 1440.
Nothing beats getting a deal at McDonald's. Why? Because you get a deal now.
And a deal later.
Redeem an offer from the latest mailer or on the McDonald's app and dig into instant savings. Plus, you earn points towards
Free McDonald's.
Now that's what I call
a double whammy of deals.
Why does that keep happening? Deals sent right to your door. Check your mailbox for the latest McDonald's mailer loaded with delicious value for a limited time at participating restaurants in Western Canada.
Hey there, it's Brandon Douglas from Sports 1440. If you're tired of slow, unreliable internet connections like I am, check out Starlink. It's fast, reliable, even in bad weather, and even works for 4K streaming for movie nights, online gaming, and more. Growing up on the farm in the sticks of Central Alberta, we tried everything to get reliable internet, but we're always left with buffering video and half-loaded websites. There's nothing worse than losing your connection while streaming the big game. I'm getting mine set up soon and can't wait. If you're ready for better internet, order online in 2 minutes at starlink.com/radio or call 1-800-GO-STARLINK.
Just in time for the morning skate. This is the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440.
All right, welcome back to the big program, 9:21 in Edmonton. And time now for the game of the day, brought to you by St. Albert Dodge, where, again, the 2026 Ram 2500 Black Express packages, they're here. They've got the 20-inch black aluminum wheels, the black Mopar side steps, body color bumpers and grille, and a sport performance hood. See them at stalbertdodge.com as we welcome back Zack Kavanagh from the Sporting Tribune, covers the Ducks. Good morning, Zach. You're with Kevin Karius and the former NHLer, David Schlemko. Thanks for coming on Sports 1440. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again, guys. Excited for a big one tonight. Playoff hockey. I'm so excited to be back in this. It's been a long time for the Ducks.
Yeah, that's it.
You're right. It has been. So maybe just give us a bit of a scene setter. I know we're still a few days before the Ducks will host a game, but what's the atmosphere? What's the buzz like down in OC?
It's livening back up again when the car flags start propping up around town, and the Ducks have started hosting these car flag rallies where you can drive through with your car and you get the flag, and everybody start popping up. It really, that kind of culture started with the Lakers teams in the late 90s, the Kobe Shaq era, and that just sort of spread to all the sports where if you're good and you're in the playoffs, those car flags start flying, and that's kind of a good gauge of things. They had watch parties at the arena last night or on Monday night that they sold out the tickets that they had. They sold out the tickets for the one tonight. it's exciting for everyone to be back here so quickly too. In the rebuild, we thought it would maybe take a bit, but they're ready to go. This is what we all play for, right?
Well, I've been lucky enough to cover a couple series down at the Honda Center, and yeah, I can tell you, Schlemmer, it gets pretty, riled up down there. So
yeah, we played there in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. So looking forward to when the series shifts. So Zach, what did you make of what you saw from the Ducks and just the game in general Monday night, where the Oilers won at 4-3?
Well, what I took away from it was sort of what Troy Terry was putting out in the locker room. And he's he's the guy that's been on this team the longest. He was there when they went to the playoffs last time, didn't play any games. He's been through all of it. And he wasn't daunted by the task. He even said, like, when it comes to the playoffs, you can say all the excitement, the emotion, it can be a little overwhelming, but maybe they were in the first few minutes. You could see that they were trying to figure it out, but they are confident that we're in the playoffs now. We're into this thing. And I think that was my big takeaway. The swings back and forth, there's certainly things that can be prevented from losing that lead late or giving up those goals early even. But they are confident that they can skate with the Oilers. They're confident that they can be in this series, that they can be playoff players. When your best players in that game were the guys that hadn't played in the playoffs before, Troy Terry, Leo Carlsson, Beckett Seneca, I thought was very dynamic despite not putting up any points. That's the thing that I'm encouraged by, that all the playoff rookies were the ones that came in and performed, and it was sort of the playoff veterans that ended up letting the Ducks down at times, and that's something that they can fix going forward.
Mm-hmm. So what's the message, I guess, coming out of the dressing room then going into game 2? You said they're confident. We believe we can skate with them. Is it just kind of building off of that second period a little bit, or what's the message?
It's definitely building off that second. The thing that Quenneville has kind of preached all season long is he wanted the Ducks, I think he said this in his very first press conference, to be friendly with the puck, to possess the puck, because that's the Ducks are not a great defensive team. They never, this group as it's constructed, they're not there yet. As seen with trying to defend a 1-goal lead in the third period of a playoff game, they're not quite ready to take on that task of locking it down like that. But the way that they can defend the other way is possess the puck and play with it on their stick and kind of control the pace of the game that way. And I think that's something that they took out of it. They did talk about trying to lock things down a bit more to tighten up those areas, because some of the things they let up, Quenneville has the thing that Joel Quenneville hates the most aren't the goals that sort of happen with a run up of play. It's the, as he calls them, the preventable ones, whether it's Chris Kreider turning the puck over to nobody in the neutral zone on the second goal, or Radko Gudas falling down on the game tying goal, or even on the game winning goal where Jacob Trouba just loses a guy in the slot. Those are all things that the team can control if you just play the right way. And so I think that's what they're looking forward to, is just eliminating the dumb mistakes. That the Oilers are clearly a team that can pounce on those things at any given point in a game. And if they can eliminate the stupid mistakes, then they can play their own game, possess the puck, and they know they can score. That's the one thing they're very confident in. They can score the puck. It's just a matter of not allowing the other team enough opportunities to put it behind you.
Zack Kavanagh from the Sporting Tribune covers the Ducks. Our guest, Kevin Karius, David Schlemko, with you here in Sports 1440. Boy, Coach Q sure has a lot of trust and respect for his fourth line, doesn't he, Tim? And Tim Washy and Jeffrey VL and Ian Moore. Zach, what did you see from that line where, Quenneville wasn't shy to put him out in various situations, even starting the game, for Pete's sake?
Starting the game, I think he clearly wanted a tone to be set, and you saw Jeffrey VL kind of going around throwing the body a bit. I mean, if the goaltender interference is, whether we decide that what we know is goalie interference or not these days, I think that one was, for the record. That's not me arguing for that. But Tim Washy's almost scored the first playoff goal in 8 years. Like that line had a good energy to them. And Ian Moore, a converted defenseman, has been a very good spark plug, a very good forechecker as a defenseman playing up at forward. But I think what Joel really likes about guys like Tim Washy is they play their role to a T. Tim Washy's out there to win faceoffs and play hard. And Jeffrey VL is out there to hit guys and play hard. And Ian Moore is there to be a workhorse and, again, be on the forecheck, kind of start things. And I think that's what he likes from that group. It has changed a little bit. Again, Ian Moore shouldn't be playing up and forward, but he is. They would probably like to have Ross Johnston back, and he'll probably be coming back at some point in the series. Don't know if that'll be today or not, but he's a guy that has had a career year setting up with a forecheck. And I think that's the one tweak that they maybe make to that group, but I think he likes what that group does in performing the role.
Yeah, I mean, they were good last night, so he obviously trusts them. I think it's playing with fire a little bit, continuously putting out against McDavid. But let's look at the D, the flip side of the coin there. Maybe doesn't trust Gudas and Hines quite as much. They played 940 and 1133 respectively. Can the top four handle that kind of load? If this series goes deep, 6-7 games, I mean, assuming last change at home will help a little bit, but what do you figure with the D there?
I think it's not the first time that's happened. And after the game tying goal, where again Gudas fell down and Tyson Hines got burned on the first goal of the game. After the game tying goal, Gudas and Hines didn't play the rest of the night. They were on the bench, stapled there. Mm-hmm. Jackson Lacombe has upped his minutes considerably over the last 2 years. He is a guy that can carry the workhorse load. Jacob Trouba has stepped up and played a lot of minutes this year. John Carlson has come in and played a lot of minutes. And he's really buoyed Pavel Mintyukov on his side with Carlson. I think that Quenneville is very, again, confident in doing that, comfortable in doing that, because those guys, particularly Jackson, he plays a little too casual for me sometimes, but there's no doubt that he can log the minutes and keep it the same level consistently from puck drop to final whistle.
Yeah. When you look at the power play and the Oilers' power play, more specifically here, Zach, it hasn't been a unit for a long time since Leon Draisaitl's been out for the 5 weeks, and then Zach Hyman missed some time. That first power play was really discombobulated, but they had some looks in the second one. What adjustments or how can the Ducks limit, some goals on the power play? Because it's been operating at a 1-for-3 clip for the better part of a couple of years here, Zach.
Yeah, I think the only way to truly do that is just not take the penalties. And again, when I look at the difference in the playoff rookies versus the playoff veterans in game one, Alex Killorn took 2 penalties. And he's a guy that has been relied on as a very consistent player and a guy that hasn't had those letdowns. And you can't have him doing that. Again, when he's on a line with Mikhail Granlund and Beckett Seneca, you can't be taking that group off the ice for something that you've done. I don't particularly like the way the Ducks do the penalty kill. They don't engage with guys at the front of the net. They sort of let guys be free because they want to be free themselves to go block shots and send it the other way. I don't know if they can hold on that long against the Oilers D, because I've remembered plenty of times where McDavid and Draisaitl have just picked apart that Ducks PK, and it is truly playing with fire. And if Leon is getting back to that full speed, he got the 2 points on Monday. It's the best way to do that is simply not take the penalties, and it'll be tough, especially if you're trying to set that physical tone. But you can't have it from your veterans if that's going to happen.
They did do a pretty good job on entries, though, I thought, especially early on. McDavid turned a lot of pucks over, but once they got in zone, the Oil can snap around pretty nice.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the thing with McDavid, and we talked about the fourth line, but it was a thing. Joe Quenneville said yesterday that it's a full-time job description for everybody on the team. And if you look at the numbers of who played against McDavid all night long, both top D pairs played against him. All 4 lines played considerable time against him at some point. It's a rolling thing. They don't have a traditional shutdown line. They don't really have a traditional shutdown pair. I guess it's Lacombe and Trouba in the tough moments, but everybody sort of needs to get their piece. And that's why every bit of that has to be buckled down for Anaheim to be successful tonight and going forward.
From the Sporting Tribune with us on Sports 1440. Did you see a little bit of a different style as far as structure goes from Quenneville, in the sense that, they seem to have that first forward on Oiler breakouts, just right in the middle, right around the blue line, and trying to funnel guys off to the sideboards more so maybe that we saw in the regular season. Is that fair? Is there just a little bit of a tweak that we've seen just in game one here?
I think that's pretty fair. Again, it's a matter of trying to disrupt things early and not let them, because the Ducks know how the Oilers can be successful, because it's kind of the similar way to how the Ducks can be successful. If they're out on the rush, if they're playing fast, and if you could do anything to, again, slow down McDavid, slow down Draisaitl, they're going to do that. I think you see, I think, again, that's where they really want Ross Johnston back in the series. It's 2 years ago, I wouldn't have said that Ross Johnston is as important of a player to the Ducks as he is today, but Joel Quenneville has made him into a very effective forechecker. And I think he's a guy that could really start to disrupt things in the series if he can get back in here in the next couple games. But that is certainly something that has been a little bit of a tweak. They have in the past, they were doing a little bit more sitting back and trying to clog things up neutrally rather than trying to force the play down at the other end. And I think they're better when they're aggressive. And I'd like to see more of that from them tonight for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I'm watching a couple of young guns pretty closely. Game one, Beckett Seneca really impressed me, keeps impressing me, does not look like a playoff rookie. Thought he was real hard on the puck, real dangerous looking. On the flip side, I thought Cutter Gauthier was just kind of average. I thought he'd look a lot more dangerous for a 40-goal scorer. What's your opinion on those two?
Yeah, I think that you kind of nailed it right there. Beckett didn't look deterred by the moment at all, and he was disrupting plays. He was intercepting pucks at neutral ice. He was being creative still. He was using all the skills that make Beckett and have made him such an X factor for this Ducks unit. I was particularly disappointed by the way Cutter Gauthier played. He kind of looked a little lost, a little deer in the headlights, and I don't know if that's because when you get in this playoff series now, he's been playing on the third line recently with Ryan Poehling and Mason McTavish, and that kind of got moved around a bit. I would like to see Cutter back up with more of the skill guys as the series goes along, but he certainly wasn't as engaged as you want him to be in a big moment like this when he is your leading goal scorer. And it wasn't even a thing where I thought the Oilers were doing something particularly to disrupt him. I just don't think he looked very in sync from puck drop. And he's certainly a guy I want to see more out of tonight, whether it's his game is shooting the puck all the time, every time he gets it, whether it's just doing that or just showing a little more fire. Cutter's a guy that needs to step up for Anaheim tonight for sure.
Yeah. Just talking about the start of the game, how do you think the Ducks come out tonight compared to game number one here, Zach, where, the Oilers really had a really strong start, obviously, with the 2-0 first period lead?
Yeah, it's certainly a problem that the Ducks have had all season long. They have played from behind a lot. They've given up the first goal far too many times. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to be very concentrated on trying to get that done because you can't expect to keep coming back against a team like the Oilers, especially throughout a 7-game series. They need to set the tone. They need to come out and start, again, if it's Cutter Gauthier out there, shoot the puck, get those chances on net, because I don't think as solid as Connor Ingram was, he wasn't standout. It wasn't something where he was standing on his head. You can get to the Oilers goaltending, and if the Ducks can get out there and get those chances early, they need to take them. It's a matter of setting the tone for yourselves rather than reacting to what the other team does. And unfortunately for Anaheim, it almost feels like they're better when they are statistically, like with the analytics and all that, they are a better team when they are down than when they are tied. It's so weird, but they need to get out of that mental funk and start attacking the game themselves rather than receiving and reacting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, lastly, let's talk Connor McDavid. I gotta think it was a success in game one, right? It looks like a real team kind of defense strategy, doubling down on him whenever he's got the puck, just not letting the Connor show beat you, basically. Are we expecting to see more of that in game two?
Mm-hmm.
It has to be. And it is that team concept. Like everybody has to get their part because they don't have a true Selke candidate center that's going to win all the faceoffs and get in his cage and rattle him. You got to just get every layer. You have to have the multiple defenders. You have to have multiple forwards get in there. And this isn't no different than anyone's played Connor in the past. It's just you have to execute. And everyone knows what the game plan is. You got to slow him down somehow. I don't expect him to be scoreless that much longer. Considering he did have 7 points in 3 games against the Ducks this year. It is a matter of everybody doing their part, and that is how this team has to play. Team concept through and through.
Zach, hey, thanks so much for your time. Enjoy tonight's tilt, and then more specifically, enjoy game 3 when the series shifts to Anaheim. Looking forward to that as well. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Looking forward to it.
Zack Kavanagh from the Sporting Tribune covers the Ducks. That's our game of the day, brought to you by St. Albert Dodge, where the 2500 Black Express is on the lot. She's going fast. Check them out at stalbertdodge.com. The last 2 times I was down there, Slimmer, we went to watch the LA Angels play. It's close by.
Yeah, across the highway.
Exactly. So, people were saying, like, the Blue Jays are there right now. Could you imagine if the Ducks would have, say, somehow had home ice to start this series?
What a trip.
Then you'd be, you got the Jays. You'd only be able to see really the one game. Actually, no.
Still.
If it started like it was, because you could double dip today, you would have been able to see last night's Jays game on a Tuesday, and then just pretending the schedule's the same, Monday, Wednesday, right? The Jays play today in the afternoon.
That would be unreal.
Go to that, and go to the Oilers-Ducks game. What a trip that would be.
Love it.
Man, there would be fans going down there. Duke was thinking about it.
I got my wife into the Jays now. Hey,
You did?
After playoffs last year, she's watching Jays in 30 with me now.
Well, when you get her to watch a total ball game in 2.5 hours, that's when you've made progress.
That might be a stretch.
Yeah, I explored the notion of a little jet setting weekend down to SoCal, taking some hockey. Unfortunately, don't think it's gonna happen. The flight availability surprisingly bleak. If I only wanted to try and make it like essentially a 1-day turnaround type trip, and also pretty expensive to just go down to fly to SoCal, regardless of what airport you're trying to get into. Apparently,
what are the tickets like compared to here?
I did some looking there. Actually, pretty close to the same.
Really?
And in the sense that, like, cheapest available. Like the other night, I was looking today because I think I'm going to go to the game tonight probably. You can get in for just over $200 a ticket. And like some decent seats. They're not really, they're kind of more in the corners of the upper bowl and stuff like that, but still one of the first handful of rows. So there's stuff out there. And we did some looking at the bar the other day ahead of game 1. This was leading into game 3, of course, but same thing, about $200. And I think that was Canadian too, not American pricing on too. But the bigger is like the flight was going to be for one that would actually work feasibly to get there in time for the game. It was going to be probably at least $1,200, $1,300.
That's brutal, man.
You realize you got to work here too.
Well, that was the thing, right? That was the thing. And to be honest, Kev, there was no flight that would have made it possible to get there in time for the game and leave after I would have been done work on Friday, despite it only being a 3-hour flight.
What if you did the
some of them were like leave at 6 a.m. and get there at 5 p.m.
But what if you would have done like the Seth Jarvis thing with the buddies, and you and the big Savoie and Chucky Slick would have taken that fancy car of his down there? You guys.
Well, I don't know if you're familiar with the Aston Martin, Kevin. The back seat is not the most spacious, and I would have been the one sitting back there.
So
that would not have made for a very fun. What we're talking like
24-hour
drive.
Well, with you and Chucky Slick,
I think I'd rather ride in the trunk than in the back seat of the
Well, then take your truck or whatever.
Listen, these are all fun and good. If it were to come to that, and I were to propose this idea to my good friend Chucky Slick, he'd probably be like, "There's no way we're doing that. I'll buy the plane tickets," because he's he's a little more financially comfortable than I am. To
Chucky Slick, maybe he would just get a PJ or something.
Yeah, I don't think he'd quite spring for that. And it's funny you say that. Kev, I just texted the big Savoie in this past hour saying, "Hey, would you want to go to the game tonight?" He says, "Oh, I'm already going." It's like, "Thanks for the invite." What a jerk, man. What a jerk. He's like, "No," he's like, "Yeah, a girl invited me and she's even buying the tickets."
Well, you can't really blame the guy.
Yeah, I can. Why?
Got a free ticket.
Why wouldn't he have messaged me if he was interested in going? Because he's not an Oilers fan. He's an Oilers hater. But if he had any interest in going, why had he not reached out to me at any point over the past 3 days to want to go?
Maybe he just likes this girl and he got a free ticket.
He would have met this girl a day ago. That's how the big Savoie operates. No, and that's not an exaggeration.
So are you saying that you can get into the Oilers game tonight for around $200 as well?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So
that's surprising.
I mulled it over too long on Monday.
Be a terrible seat.
I don't know. I've sat in some of the corner spots at Rogers before. There's not very many bad seats in that building.
There's a couple that are, you can't see.
For sure they exist. But I think even if you're in the upper bowl in the corner, but as long as you're sitting in the first handful of rows, then you're making out okay.
I'm pretty sure like the email I got from the Oilers was like the upper bowls are like $360 or something.
Yeah,
like
probably if you're buying from Ticketmaster because they're criminals.
But don't they just get more expensive when you buy them like secondhand?
No. The game when for Monday's Game Slammer, when we wrapped up the show at 11 o'clock, the game was not sold out.
Really?
Dylan texts in Satin section 204 row 6 on Monday for $190 a ticket, Schlemmer.
That's pretty decent.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, by today's prices.
Wow. It's not gonna get cheaper once the weather's
Gets you into the show, into the atmosphere.
When we come back, we'll go in or out with David Schlemko, of course, Schlemmer, brought to you by Cougar Paint and Collision. Our family, helping your family with family service and pride that have earned customer trust for decades. Check them out at cougarcollision.com. It's the Kevin Karius Show with the Duke of Delburne, Josh Fenwick, and David Schlemko on Sports 1440 AM Radio. We're streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch.
At GS Construction, we're multitaskers. We've got lots of projects going on all around Edmonton and area. Different teams across the city working towards the same outcome. Installing today what will serve generations to come. It's a rewarding career and the work never stops. That's why GS Construction is always on the lookout for great people to join us. Right now, we're looking for experienced topmen, pipe layers, operators, and surveyors. So if you want to feel valued, empowered, and engaged in your work, visit gsconstruction.ca today.
Summit Restaurant, located in the heart of the Silent Ice Center and just minutes from South Edmonton Common. Summit is your destination for exceptional house-made pizza, delicious entrees, and expertly crafted cocktails. Experience the perfect blend of flavor and ambiance in a modern setting. Join us for a straightforward yet elevated dining experience where our commitment to quality speaks to every bite and sip. Make Summit Restaurant your next night on the town.
Summer, it's coming. An unstoppable force that will turn your home into the Sweatbox.
Don't live in a summer blockbuster. Pro Solutions is your one-call-solves-it-all expert for AC repairs, tune-ups, and new installations. With fast appointments and flexible financing, we'll make sure your home story has a comfortable ending. AC season is coming soon, so book today.
Lock in pre-season pricing today.
Visit prosolutionsinc.ca to schedule your service today.
Don't let equipment failure stop you cold. At AWS Welding in Nisku, our factory-trained service techs are on hand for all welding equipment repairs. We're a fully warranted center for Miller, Lincoln, and ESAB. And we service all makes and models. Proper, regular service extends the life of your gear and keeps it running at peak capacity. Don't wait for a breakdown. Book your service appointment today at 780-979-0470. AWS Welding. We make it happen.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Would you like to be a part of history for the month of April? I'm kidding. Or as the kids say, bro, I'm joking. Would you like to help us set a record in April? Chill. Still kidding. At Northgate, we aren't trying to set any records or tell you how many vehicles we sell, and we really don't think you'd care. But what you will care about is this. Every dealer has the same costs. Trust me. GM does not have a favorite kid. You get to decide where you buy. 0% financing, a great selection, and of course, great people. Stop in and see us today. 13215 97th Street or business online at northgategm.com.
You're in Northgate country.
It's playoff time on Edmonton Sports Leader, Sports 1440. This is Andrew Walker. Join us for the Titan Supply pregame show before each Edmonton playoff game. Titan Supply, your only source for rigging, lifting, and hauling products.
Fast track your financial goals with a special rate term deposit from Vision Credit Union. For a limited time, take advantage of a great rate on 1, 3, or 5-year terms. Plus, as a Vision Credit Union member, you can earn up to 25% more on your interest through profit shares. For details, contact your branch today or visit visioncu.ca. That's visioncu.ca.
You're listening to Sports 1440 and watch us on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Sports 24/7. We are Sports 1440.
All right, welcome back to the big program. 9:47 in Edmonton. Kevin Karius, David Schlemko with you, along with the Duke of Delburne and Josh Fenwick here on Sports 1440 AM radio. Time now for In or Out, brought to you by Pro Solutions. If you need fast air conditioning service, Pro Solutions offers expert repairs, tune-ups, and installs with flexible financing. Book your appointment now at prosolutionsinc.ca.
Okay, you know what? Moving too fast. Bottom line, are you in or are you out?
In or out of what?
No time for questions, just action. In or out?
Well, then I'm out.
I'm sorry, Jet. Actually, you're already in.
Are you in or are you out?
On Sports 1440.
I thought you would go, I'm in, Bob. We would have had a really cool moment, but you kind of ruined the whole thing.
All right, Duke. Let her buck.
Game day for the Edmonton Oilers tonight from Rogers Place, touting a 1-0 series lead over the Anaheim Ducks. Adam Henrique been ruled out for tonight's contest, leaving two options for head coach Chris Knoblauch and how to fill the fourth-line center role. Despite a clear preference in his lineup down the stretch of the season, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Josh Szymanski, will be drawing in over Curtis Lazar.
So not 100 per. You're saying you got a little inkling that it'll be Curtis Lazar, huh?
I do.
Okay. And obviously right-hand shot centerman. That's the big thing.
And I think that is the primary factor in this decision.
And he kills penalties too. So do you like him better killing penalties than Josh Szymanski right now? The one thing that I will say, and I've said it for a long time here now, for a couple weeks. Well, I shouldn't say a couple weeks, but since Colton Dach returned. With Dach and Trent Frederick, whoever is at center is interchangeable. Those two guys, it doesn't matter for them, which is weird.
Yeah.
Because normally the center guy drives the line. He's the guy that's got to, but so I get where you're coming from, Duke, but it's not a foregone conclusion. Hey, I don't know. I think he probably will go with Szymanski tonight, but it wouldn't surprise me if he went with Lazar either. So,
yeah. Yeah, I'm in with you there. I agree with you, Kev. I think Szymanski's earned it the way that line played down the stretch. But at the same time, like you said, that right-hand shot for face-offs on the one side, and all Curtis Lazar has done is everything that's been asked of him, right? Played the right way, bought into his role. I like either guy there. Honestly, I wouldn't even mind if he slid over Trent Frederick to center if he's going, well, get Max Jones in there and just
Jones is hurt. Though.
Oh, Jones is hurt.
Jones
I was going to say, go for a pure meat line, man.
Can you imagine those three donkeys on a line together? Yeah, Jones, I don't see him coming back anytime soon here.
I don't think there's any bad options. Yeah. Put it that way.
Yeah.
And that's a good problem, I think, for the coaching staff to have. The only and so you mentioned this, like, call it a pure meat line, Schlemmer. Szymanski's bigger, but from what we've seen this season, does Curtis Lazar better fit that mold? Because when he has been in the lineup, despite being a smaller guy, he never shies away from the physical nature of the game, whether it be on the forecheck, playing the physical side of it. I think he would do that. And you talk about, like, the difference in faceoffs is stark. How much better Lazar is on the draws as a penalty killer, the savvy veteranness. We talked a lot this morning about the Ducks, how a lot of their young players didn't seem very, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and let the moment overwhelm them, especially as the game progressed. I thought we maybe saw that a little bit more from, say, a guy like Matt Savoie over the course of the game. Could that same impact possibly be felt for Josh Szymanski playing on home ice? We don't know until you actually see it happen.
Sure.
But I think a guy like Chris Knoblauch, we already know that Henrique drew in over Szymanski. I think he has a deference to veteran players in these specific spots.
I think Curtis Lazar plays just as heavy of a game, if not more, than Szymanski.
Oh, that's 100. That's what I'm saying. I agree 100%. Yeah. I do. It despite being smaller. So if it were me, I'd be putting Lazar in. I've been saying that for, like, I think probably a month plus when we've been with him and Han this playoff lineup. Curtis Lazar is a playoff player for me the way he plays.
Yeah. Agreed.
On the Anaheim side of things, not sure we'll see any lineup changes for them. Maybe a swap on the back end, as we just chatted with Zack Kavanagh. Is that Ross Johnston not likely expected to be ready to draw in on the fourth line? But a player that I think they need to step up here in game number 2, another guy we did touch on with Zach as well, is the team's leading goal scorer and point getter in the regular season, Cutter Gauthier.
Go ahead, Schlemmer, if you want.
Yeah, I'm in on this one. I was really watching him kind of closely. I watched him all year, every time the Ducks were on, and here's a guy who, like, shoots a puck from anywhere and's got a wicked shot.
Was 6th in the NHL in the regular season in shots.
Yeah,
and for parts of the year, he was in the top 3.
Right, he looked dangerous from everywhere, and I thought he was pretty much invisible in game 1.
I did not notice him because I wasn't looking for him necessarily. I did not notice him until they were in their goalie pulled situation in the final minute of the game.
Do you think Quenneville maybe juggles the lines a little bit here and moves them around?
I could maybe see him jumping up to the top line and Chris Kreider drawing down and playing one of him or McTavish maybe have to play the off wing on the third line with Paling. But I think Kreider didn't really do anything particular. Gave the bad turnover. Nice screen, of course, on the Terry goal, but otherwise he wasn't a factor in the game. I think Cutter gets a little bit of a elevation.
That wouldn't surprise me. And if you got a line of Gauthier, Carlson, and Terry, that scares the bejesus out of anyone, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think the guy's he got to get him more touches, right? Any like skilled player like that, the more you're touching the puck, the more you're going to be feeling it.
So and our buddy Kenneth has texted in a couple times over the past few days. Like Gauthier, I think was 8th among forwards in time on ice in the game for your leading scorer. And you only had to kill 2 penalties, and you had 2 power plays of your own.
Right.
That number has to be higher.
So I see the lines changing a little bit for the Ducks tonight.
Yeah.
And again, you come out of the gates and throw Gauthier, Carlson, and Terry, put them in the starting lineup. Ooh.
Pretty good.
Unreal.
Around the rest of the playoff picture, 3 series after last night's games have now opened at a 2-0 lead. Of course, Colorado getting it done in overtime last night. We know Carolina, Ottawa, they're off tonight as the series will shift back to our nation's capital. But then tonight's game number 3 in Philly, the Penguins trailing the Flyers 2-0. We're going to talk more about this with Dan Kingerski in the 10 o'clock hour. But of these 3 options, I don't know why. I think they've actually looked the worst of these 3 teams. But I think Pittsburgh actually has the best chance to come back in this series, in their respective series.
Like Ottawa's probably looked the best out of all 3.
Yeah. But agreed. Question, how much of that is buoyed by the play of their goaltender?
Sure.
Yeah, he's been great.
They've had some chances too. I mean, the Kings haven't been generated enough. Senators have looked the best, but Duke, I just have to go Pittsburgh. I got to go in on this because I told you I blew everything off by taking Penguins in all the drafts. So I might as well. I got to say,
you're all in.
I might as well go Pittsburgh because again, in our draft on Saturday with the Babber. Oh yeah. Oh, I got a quick story later about the Babber. Yeah. And anyway, and then in our fantasy frenzy one too.
Took quite a few pens.
All thing. I just what the hell? So
right.
Hey, listen,
you're all in on the pens.
The Oilers, like everybody, especially it's an Edmonton radio show. That's where most of our entries would have came from, or Oilers fans. Everybody's taking Oilers. If you want to win, separate yourself, you got to go off the board a little bit. I took all Ducks.
Weird.
We'll see how that fleshes out here in a couple more days. But I can appreciate the effort, Kevin. And I picked the Penguins to win this series, much like Scott Burnside. I think this is the series that I have most improperly evaluated at its onset.
Yeah, I'm going to be in as well. I mean, it's definitely not going to be the Kings. That's so hard to watch, man. Are they boring? I'm so glad the Oilers are not playing.
The games
them
are on
again.
so late.
Like it's awful.
You're already tired, and the games are not very exciting.
Like they might not score again. I don't know. It's just bad. But yeah, the Pens, they got a chance of coming back here. Like they haven't even broke through like at all yet. They haven't found any success. As soon as they do, like let's see what they can do here.
I don't think they can play any worse.
Like how many shots have they had through 2 games? Like 30?
Oh, it's unbelievable.
It's been dire.
Been bad.
You would think that those guys like Crosby and Kingerski's going to say it. He's going to say it coming up here at 10:20. Crosby, Malkin, Letang, all these Carl, they're going to have to
find
show
something. Yeah, find something here.
And I did see our friend Dan Kingerski had tweeted out earlier. There were some pretty substantial changes line combination wise for the Penguins, I believe, going into tonight's game. I'm sure we'll elaborate on that more once we have them on. But on to number 4, let's shift over to the Diamond. Schlemmer and maybe your wife can weigh in as a newly documented Blue Jays fan. They pick up their first series win, taking last night's game over the Angels. First series win since the opening weekend of the season. Louis Varland coming in very much needed fashion last night in the bottom of the night. Picks up his first career save. Hoffman has several appearances in a row where it's not been pretty. Hits a couple guys, gives up the hits, makes it a 2-run game last night before Varland comes in and cleans it up. I think it's time to give Louis Varland a legitimate look to take over the closer role with this team.
Well, no, I'm out on this, Duke. It should have happened a long time ago. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes old Hoffy looks great. Looks like he
had a pretty good start to the year.
Yeah, but he looks like he can do the job. It looks like his pitches have movement on him. It looks like he's composed on the hill. And then the next, just like last night, and it's happened a few already this year. He looks like he shouldn't even be in the bullpen. So, yeah, I think Varland is the guy right now. They use him a lot. they have to figure out his usage moving forward here, because they just seem to, if they're going to do this, throw him in the closer role and don't keep using him in the 6th and 7th in different leverage situations.
Right.
Because, I mean, last year the guy threw too many innings. This year he's coming out of the gates throwing too much. So that's how I would approach it. If you're going to do it, just say he's our closer and
Just
that's
do
it.
it. Yeah, I'm in on this one as well. I've just seen Hoffman blow way too many here lately. Going back to the World Series and, even this year, it's been tough to watch. Am I the biggest Louis Varland fan? I don't know. Not really.
I know where you're coming to from, Schlemmer, but even at the start of the year, we had several guys on, Blue Jay Insiders guys at camp, and they felt that it was going to be more of a closer by committee too. And then you're going to throw Tyler Rogers in there too, because he's a submariner and maybe in certain matchups you want him. I don't know. To me, I mean,
can they go out and get a guy?
No, closers are weird. They're either you either have the elite of the elite, and then what happens? You got a guy like Edwin Diaz in LA. Now he's going to be on the shelf for 3 months. You go out and spend a boatload on him. So closers are weird. You almost want to grow them organically within your team, and someone grasps it, and then they turn into one. But there are few and far between where guys are legitimate stoppers that scare the bejesus out of you. Right now, there's only one that is like that, and that's Mason Miller in San Diego. And that was
might win the Cy Young.
I mean, I just feel like, you've seen Varland so many times last year down the stretch, and I guess maybe a little bit of long relief situations, but he pissed away quite a few as well.
Maybe that's overusage too.
Yeah.
Could
13 innings pitched this year, 19 Ks, 0 earned runs against him, and a whip of 0.85. I just think, I'm with you, Slimmer. Is this like a bona fide closer option for you? Well, he's clearly throwing the ball better than Jeff Hoffman is right now. And the Jays, with their rough start, I don't think you can afford to have these late game scenarios where you've put yourself in a position to win. Varland gives you the best chance to close out these contests right now. The numbers show it, even if maybe they haven't been as leveraged as Hoffman necessarily.
I guess I agree with you on that. I'm just not sure he's like a permanent fix.
And I'll hear that argument still for sure. Finally, today is Earth Day, celebrating beautiful planet. Recycle, use paper straws, all that stuff. The most underrated continent on our planet, if you were planning a little trip, holiday, vacation of any variety, and this comes mostly inspiration from watching Our Planet on Netflix. I would love to do one of those cruises to Antarctica. I think it would be awesome.
I mean, I think it would be awesome too. Just reading the question, the most underrated continent. I mean, I've only been to North America and Europe. There's probably a couple of different continents I'd want to see before Antarctica, personally.
Yeah, but everybody's like, oh yeah, you got to go to Europe. And Africa, I think, has a lot of natural beauty, but there's some other elements to consider when traveling to, depending where you're going.
What are you going to do, Duke, in Antarctica? Like, just
look at the penguins. See the seals eat the penguins. The glaciers, Kevin.
I think it'd be cool.
The vastness, the whales, all of it. Kevin, you ever watched Planet Earth or Our Planet?
Oh, tons of it. I used to watch lots.
I think the scenes you get from, and you can say the same about the Arctic as well, but I just think it's a little bit. There's no penguins in the North Pole.
What about in Alaska?
I would be very much game for that too.
Like, how would that differ, like an Alaskan cruise from an Antarctica?
It would depend on the animals. It would differ in the animals you see. Bears, no bears. Penguins, no penguins.
All right.
What was your second choice here, Duke, for the most underrated continent on our planet?
Well, I kind of just touched on, I think Africa. Now, I'm not much of a hot weather person, so that would not bode very well for me, probably. But to see the rainforest and the jungle and stuff, maybe go to a safari thing. Africa's so big, and you can see so many different things. If you're talking about the entirety of the continent, you get a lot of diversity in what you're seeing. So I think Africa would be really cool. I've never been anywhere. I've barely been to the United States. I've barely been anywhere across Canada. I am so untraveled that anywhere would be a treat for me to go see. But
Well, do you know, Duke, that 90% of the Earth's ice is held by Antarctica?
Yeah, I did know that.
Also, did you know that much of the continent has never been set foot on by humans?
Yeah.
He's gonna be a pioneer.
It's not particularly flush with like life.
Like, what else are you going to do besides look at the penguins?
Into the middle of the continent.
Look at the ice.
Yeah. Look at the ice. I think seeing like, what do you do when you go to the mountains, Kevin? You look at the mountains.
Golf.
Go play some ice golf.
Yeah.
Take your clubs up there. Get your hammer out to put your tee in through the crust, just like you would play in Terra Pines on January 2nd.
Duke would probably go
tee off.
Duke would probably go take his skates up there and do some skating on one of the ice flows.
Some ice fishing.
Yeah. I don't know.
Ice fishing.
Probably pretty thick up there.
You might need to find a coastline.
A 16-foot auger just to get through the thinnest part. Yeah.
Also, Kevin, how about this? If you're actually venturing onto the continent, not just maybe doing a bit of a flyby and some coast stuff, what's actually going on there? Let's get to the conspiracy side of things.
I was gonna say, is that where you can't go?
It's a huge, there's tons of research camps and all these things for weather things. Nobody actually knows what's going on there.
Like, you're not allowed to go there.
That's right.
Well, I'm out on this, obviously.
So what are you saying?
Well, I'll probably take Australia.
Oh, that's a good one.
There's lots of stuff there to kill you. Unlike Africa.
Yeah. I'd probably,
Or Antarctica, the weather.
We could see our buddy Andrew Hamilton down there.
Good point.
He's coaching down there. He ran into Al at the.
He's not playing anymore?
No, he's not playing. He's coaching. Yeah.
Okay.
So I ran into
Australia
Al
would be
Friday.
cool. Connor Halley's one sister and her family live in Australia now.
Yeah. No, it's Australia, and I don't know if it's underrated, but it's still.
I definitely think that it wouldn't rank as highly as say Europe. I think Europe is like number one on most people's list.
Yeah.
And then I think parts of Asia, if you're talking about like going to Japan or even Southeast Asia and stuff like that, that's probably number two. So yeah, I'll take Australia as an underrated answer.
SKS Sean Smith just walked by again. Came in here at 9:00 when Schlemmer arrived. First thing about, hey, what about the buffet? What's going on with the buffet? When are we going to go to the buffet?
He's hungry.
He phoned me yesterday to have a trial run. Let's go to the buffet.
After you didn't respond to his message in the group chat, which you're about to say you probably didn't receive, because I once again maintain that you've blocked Sean's number.
No, I haven't. I'm just like, I see it and I'm like, stop.
I was gonna write that in that chat. Kevin's really excited. Leduc is open. He just doesn't do group chats.
It's In or Out, brought to you by Pro Solutions. Need fast air conditioning service? It's the place to be. Check them out at ProSolutionsInc.ca. Now, I talked to the Babber yesterday, Duke. The Duke and I were in our hockey draft on Saturday afternoon. And Babber said, well, how do you think it went? And I said, everything went really well, except could have used a better auctioneer. Duke was the auctioneer.
It was my first foray into the field.
I would have guessed that would be like your forte.
Oh yeah.
I've listened to a lot of auctioneers. I was drawing on that experience of being in auction barns, but I've never actually done any auctioneering in such an official capacity.
A little tougher to actually spit it that fast.
Well, because it's I don't know. It's more so just the format. Plus, it didn't have any bid callers.
No. Well, you don't need that.
Oh yeah, you do, Kev.
The thing is that the draft has changed. That, like, it used to be just $5 people would bid. Like, now the cheapies like myself are trying to sneak in for a couple bucks.
Yeah.
So that's why it's taken a little bit longer. So
I thought we breezed through it pretty quickly.
Well, I don't know. Coming up in the 10:00 hour, we've got Dan Kingerski from Pit Hockey Now. We'll mention the line combos to him because Duke just mentioned that, and see where Pittsburgh moves forward tonight. Game number 3 against Philadelphia. Before that, time now for a Sports 1440 update brought to you by All-Star Construction. They shape and build Edmonton communities, specializing in underground utilities like power, gas, telecommunications, and street lighting. That's All-Star Construction. Here is the Duke.
Sports 1440 update.
Game day for the Edmonton Oilers as they take their 1-0 series lead against the Ducks into tonight's game number 2. Puck drop just after 8 o'clock from Rogers Place. Adam Henrique not going to be in the lineup, waiting on morning skate reports to see who's expected to draw in. Pre-game coverage starting right here in Sports 1440 at 6. Around the rest of the Stanley Cup playoffs, Flyers take their 2-0 series lead back home to host the Penguins, and the Stars and Wild, even at 1 game apiece, shift to Minnesota. Puck drop there at 7:30. In the PWHL tonight, Ottawa in Boston, Seattle hosting Minnesota, and the BCHL playoffs continue. Game number 4 between the Sherwood Park Crusaders hosting Brooks tonight at the Sherwood Park Arena. Puck drop at 7. In the U18 World Championships from Bratislava this morning, Czechia and USA currently tied at 2. Canada's debut game coming up here at 10 o'clock against Slovakia. Fort Saskatchewan product Keaton Bierhoff captaining the club. In the association tonight, Detroit hosting Orlando. Tip-off at 5 o'clock, and Phoenix, game number 2 against the OKC Thunder at 7:30. In the majors tonight, full slate of games, including the Blue Jays with a matinee affair in LA, against the Angels. First pitch coming just after 1 o'clock. Coming up in hour 4 of the Kevin Karius Show, we'll be joined by Dan Kingerski from Pittsburgh Hockey Now covering the Penguins. I'm Brandon Douglas at your Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station.
CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
At Fountain Tire, the savings come in threes. Up to 25% off select tires, a mail-in rebate of up to $100 off a set of 4 select tires, and $50 off a $150 service. We're basically the BLT of savings. Until April 25th. Restrictions apply. Book today.
I've got some good news if you've been thinking about a heavy-duty truck. The 2026 Ram 2500 Black Express is now at St. Albert Dodge. You've got 20-inch black aluminum wheels, black Mopar side steps, body color, bumpers and grille, and a sport performance hood. Available in all the colors for $68,990. Plus, new this year, Ram's best-in-class 10-year powertrain warranty. Now's the time. Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Getting your vehicle sparkling clean doesn't have to cost a fortune. Take it into Hughes today and pay just loonies a wash.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
Everything is going to be okay. If you're feeling the weight of too much debt, you have options. I'm Dan McDicken, a licensed insolvency trustee with Faber. Becoming debt-free is possible, and a personal bankruptcy or a consumer proposal will get you there. Schedule your free Faber Focus session at faber.ca today. You'll learn how a consumer proposal will eliminate your debt by paying a percentage of the amount owed without interest. At Faber, we've got your back.
Allen Olson Auctions presents the annual Rimby Spring Consignment Sale. Today is your last day to bid online at allenolsonauction.com. This massive 5-ring auction includes farm machinery, vehicles, RVs, skid steers, attachments, lawn and garden equipment, livestock equipment, and building materials, tires, tools, and so much more. Plus 3 real estate auctions selling in Rimby and Parkland County. For more info, call Allen Olson Auctions today at 403-843-2747 or visit allenolsonauction.com.
Professional golf is coming to Blackhawk Golf Club this fall. The ATB Classic, presented by Building Trades of Alberta, brings the stars of PGA Tour Americas to you. Enjoy the ATB Fan Zone, presented by Michelob Ultra, where golf meets festival vibes. Upgrade to VIP-covered terrace seating with premium food and beverage options. September 17th to 20th. Tickets start at just $25, and the first 250 buyers receive a PGA Tour Americas commemorative gift. Get yours at atbclassic.com.
Have your sports curiosity cured with the Kevin Karius Show. This is Sports 1440.
All right, welcome back to the big program, 1012 in Edmonton. Kevin Karius, David Schlemko with you here in Sports 1440. Schlemmer's powered by Cougar Paint and Collision, where family service and pride have earned customer trust for decades. Check them out at cougarcollision.com. Elliot Friedman reporting here, Schlemmer, your buddy Shane Doan, that the Vancouver Canucks have asked the Toronto Maple Leafs for permission to speak to Shane Doan. He's a special advisor in Toronto. So they're asking permission to talk to Doan about some position in Vancouver. Imagine him going to Vancouver, turning things around there in Toronto, and he was right under the Leafs' nose, and they didn't hire him for whatever position here, and then the Leafs still
That'd be great.
keep floundering.
It's exciting for Donner. Love that for him.
You probably saw this in him since day one.
He's the best leader I've ever met.
What's his best position? Or like, I mean, there's so many, like, you know, you had president of hockey ops, and then, you know, the GM, and, you know, this and that. What's his best?
You know, I don't really know the front office side of things as well. It sure seems, the path anyway, sure seems to be like a director of player personnel, if not a scout before that. And then, like you said, they move up to some other kind of special role. And
What about a GM? Like, is it
so like there's not a ton of them that end up going all the way up to GM. I think Donner's a guy that could do it. He's been in the business side of it for a while now, and he's such a good people person.
so? Like, I mean, okay, if you look at how the hierarchy worked in Toronto, so you had Brendan Shanahan, you know, as president, and then it was Trey Living. So, like, would something like a Shanahan title, is that what you're thinking for Shane Doan
In Vancouver, so he would kind of be advising the GM.
again? So, like with Jim Rutherford there, who knows what the hell's going on?
Well, exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
So does he step away? Like, I mean,
like in his press at the end of the year, he was basically just deflecting every question coming his way, saying like, well, that's going to be up to the new GM. That's going to be up to the new GM.
Doan wouldn't want a position where Rutherford's there looking over his shoulder and saying this, saying that.
I kind of agree with you there.
And if that's the case, and Toronto's giving him an opportunity here to speak to Vancouver, what does that tell you about the Leafs?
Well, it tells me that Shane Doan isn't on their radar.
Yeah. I don't know. Some things don't make sense.
I don't know. Not a whole lot of things make sense in Leafland the last few years.
Mm-hmm. Well, same with Vancouver.
True.
So
fair enough.
I mean, he's going into one.
I mean, that's a quality hockey, quality human being that I'm not letting go. If I'm the Leafs,
yeah,
I'm promoting him.
I mean, they were going to they wanted his name called out at the draft here. If anywhere, he should be here with the Oilers in some capacity. I don't know.
We'll see, I guess. Time will tell.
I just think it's a weird dynamic.
That is.
Where you were in Toronto where things are dysfunctional. And as you say, the best leader I've ever played with, in your words, why is he not on the radar for the Leafs in some capacity? And then if he is, why on earth would you say, yeah, go ahead, you got permission to go speak to Vancouver?
All right. Oh, that's the only thing it tells me is he's not on our radar. So let's give him the opportunity to go to Vancouver.
There you go. Do you think Pittsburgh can come back? Duke said out of all the teams 2-0, and we're going to ask Dan Kingerski this too.
I think they can.
The Pens can come back. You think so?
I don't think they've showed their best at all through 2 games. I think they get some of those big guns going, feeling it. They get the power play clicking, and they're playing against a young, inexperienced playoff team as well.
Just start humming. Wake up here.
Yep.
When we come back, Dan Kingerski from Pittsburgh Hockey. Now it's Kevin Karius, David Schlemko, Duke of Delburne, and Josh Fenwick here on Sports 1440 AM Radio. We're streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch.
At Cougar Paint and Collision, family incorporates everyone.
I mean, the staff at Cougar are the cogs in the wheel. If you've got 1 or 2 wheels that aren't rolling with the other one, then you're not going to have a smooth operation. Everybody that we have at the shop really enables us to continue to help Edmontonians. We just try and help people get their cars back on the road, and it's the people that work for you that are going to allow you to be successful.
Cougar Paint and Collision, our family helping your family.
Wondering what you can afford?
Let Go Auto do the math with our free car loan calculator. No pressure,
No awkward convos.
just quick answers on your budget and payments.
Bad credit? No credit? We got you.
Text CHECK to 780-777-7777. That's CHECK to 780 all 7. Find out what you qualify for and start shopping with confidence. Go Auto. Drive what you love with payments that make sense.
For over 50 years, The Brick has been proudly serving Canada. They love to save you more on everything you need for your home. Save up to 60% off made-in-Canada sofas when you buy the matching love seat or chair. Find patio sets starting at just $99 and save up to 40% off mattresses. Plus, take 5 years to pay with 0% interest on furniture and mattresses. Taxes and fees due at purchase, OAC. Visit a Brick near you for details and exclusions. The Brick, saving you more.
Legacy Heating and Cooling jingle auditions take one for Gene Principe. Hey, thanks for being on time.
I'm always punctual. Now, how about some cool beats while I drop the heat?
Ready when you are.
Tall legacy, tall legacy.
Nice.
Boom! I'm a musical genius.
Legacy's going to love this for AC season.
What's not to love with no interest and no Principe payments for 1 year?
Are you always like this?
Yep. Unlike Legacy, I never know when to cool it.
Legacy Heating and Cooling.
You don't just need property services, you need problems handled. HireGood provides cleanup, debris removal, site monitoring, and safety attendance across Edmonton. We reduce issues on your property, keep spaces safe, and take pressure off your team. We resolve real problems for businesses while creating real impact because our team is built on second chances and they show up every day ready to prove it. Visit hiregood.ca or call and mention Jason Gregor for a first-time discount. HireGood. Stable jobs create stable lives.
The longest running basketball show in Canada airs every Saturday morning at 10 on Sports 1440. Hoop City with Paul Sir introduces a new generation of basketball talk, and it's right here on Edmonton's home for sports, Sports 1440.
Fast track your financial goals with a special rate term deposit from Vision Credit Union. For a limited time, take advantage of a great rate on 1, 3, or 5 year terms. Plus, as a Vision Credit Union member, you can earn up to 25% more on your interest through profit shares. For details, contact your branch today or visit visioncu.ca. That's visioncu.ca.
They're pumped for the playoffs at Selly Sports Bar and Lounge, the place to catch every hit, every goal, every selling. Not a bad seat in the house. Tons of big screens and a menu with something for everyone from small bites to big bites. Plus, game night food and drink features and Oilers playoff watch parties. Selly Sports Bar and Lounge at all 3 Century Casino locations, Edmonton, St. Albert, and Century Mile.
Every day is game day at Century Casino. Alberta runs on hard work and high performance. Titan Supply has the products, knowledge, and service to ensure that performance. Now, they're part of Benmore, a Canadian company delivering lifting and securement solutions across the country. From designing and manufacturing to delivering lifting slings, securement products, crane cable, and more. They're built to take on the toughest jobs. Titan Supply and Benmore. Stronger together. Visit ben-mor.com.
Just in time for the morning skate. This is the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440.
All right, welcome back to the big program. 10:21 in Edmonton. Time to talk a little Pittsburgh Penguins hockey with Dan Kingerski from Pittsburgh Hockey Now. Good morning, Dan. You're with Kevin Karius once again, and our co-host on Wednesdays, the former NHLer, David Schlemko. Thanks for jumping on Sports 1440 this morning. Really appreciate it.
Oh, it's always my pleasure, guys.
So, Dan, after you saw everything, all the guts and heart and determination that you saw from Pittsburgh to get into the playoffs with Sid out and Malkin gone for those suspended games, how, I don't know what the word is, dumbfounded are you after what you saw from the Pittsburgh Penguins' performance in the first 2 games here?
You know what? It's surprising. I think we all underestimated the Flyers, but the reality is nobody knows how to beat the Penguins better than Rick Tocchet. He knows their kryptonite, and that is the defensive trap, that defensive posture and structure. For 20 years running, you've been able to beat Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin that way, and Tocchet, unashamedly is just taking away the ice.
Mm-hmm. Right. So to me, it looks like a very disciplined 1-1-3 in the neutral zone, just trying to bait them into, trying to carry the puck through neutral ice. And it seems even when they get a dump in that the rest of the forwards are stopped at the blue line. They're having a hard time getting on the forecheck. What's the message coming from the room? How are they going to get through this thing?
Yeah, their timing on the whole chip and chase, or the chip and charge, or the dump and chase has been kind of brutal, hasn't it? Where even when they get the red line and they get a little bit of speed with the puck carrier, the dump in has not been great. They found their stride, or at least as close to it as they have in this series. Late second period, game 2, and first, however many minutes in the third period, their shot attempts compared to the Flyers in game 2 was, more than twice, 75-35. They were pounding on the Flyers, but the Flyers, as you probably saw, just kind of collapsed around the cage and said, fine, go ahead, try to shoot through us or shoot from out there. They were just fine with that. I think that the interesting thing that we're going to see in game 3, can that young and very disciplined Flyers crew play that same way with a rowdy, amped up home crowd? Because if they start making a few mistakes, they start feeling pretty good about themselves, and let the Penguins get back to their rush game and that speed offensive game, it becomes a completely different series tonight. So, but, I think that's maybe where the fulcrum is.
Dan Kingerski from Pittsburgh Hockey Now, our guest Kevin Karius, David Schlemko with you here on Sports 1440. As you said, that success that the Pens saw later in the second, that was at the point, I think, Dan, maybe I'm off base here, but Dan Muse shuffled up the lines a little bit. Are we going to see some of that? And maybe further to that fact, are we going to see some maybe changes within the roster for game number 3 tonight?
Yeah, the change you're going to see, Elmer Soderblom, the 6'8" forward they got from Detroit at the trade deadline, is going to come out of the lineup. He was very good in game 1, very invisible in game 2. Justin Brazeau is going back in the lineup. And yes, Kevin, Muse is by and large going back to his original configuration of lines. And I don't mean originals in terms of game 1, but I mean original in terms of January, where he's putting Ricard Raquel instead of the second line center back with Sidney Crosby and Brian Rust. He's kind of he's trying something on the second line, putting Evgeny Malkin on the right wing, Tommy Novak in the middle, and Anthony Mantha, who potted 33 this year, being on the left wing. So that's the Penguins' top 6. It had some success in game 2. That second line, boy, there's 3 guys who could fill the net or burn you pretty quick.
Yeah.
How about Stu Skinner there? Obviously, Edmonton fans know him well. I wouldn't think that you could place blame on him through 2 games with the lack of shot and chance generation. But what's your opinion on Stu been so far?
He's been brilliant. His statistics and his game could not be more diametrically opposed. I mean, he's facing few shots, but the shots he's facing, a handful of breakaways in game 1 with a few 2-on-1s. And I mean, game 2, he stares down a 2-on-0, makes a really slick, toe save, pad save. He just kicked the flipper out there and got it. Really making a lot of difficult saves, almost exclusively difficult saves, because the Flyers are getting such loud and high quality chances as opposed to volume. Can't say enough good things about Stu Skinner, both on or off the ice, especially in this series.
Yeah, he's looked really good. Again, that 2-on-0 shorthanded, I was like, man, oh man, where is everyone?
Yeah, he stopped 3 breakaways in game 1.
Yeah, I think I might have let out an expletive in the press box looking at that 2-on-0. Like, what are you guys doing here? Yeah.
Everyone, yeah. Dan Kingerski with us here on Sports 1440. And that is where we're going to go next with the power play. And I mean, is it like in the sense that what you've seen, how can you put your finger on why the power plays look so bad and that even Philadelphia has had more scoring opportunities and the shorty than what Pittsburgh's had on the power play, Dan. How do you explain it?
Brian Rust kind of went down a litany for me the other day. They're flat-footed. They're playing slow. Credit to Philadelphia's PK. I mean, they weren't very good in the regular season, but Rick Tocchet had sort of a game plan for this series, where to attack the pressure points, to attack the Penguins' power play. They're making bad reads, and all of that is creating a negative effect that is sort of exacerbating and building upon itself, where the negative is becoming twice as negative as they get a little bit frustrated and they're looking for solutions. The Penguins' long-term power play, I'm talking over the course of years with Crosby, Malkin, Letang. Letang runs power play 2 now, but even with Karlsson the last few years, their default setting is almost to stand and look, because they're so good that they can spring to action at any moment and diagnose things. Well, they're standing and looking, but in the process, Philadelphia is eating their lunch. Then they're making mistakes high in the zone, feeding a shorthanded transition game and odd man rushes that way.
Now, I know it didn't work when Karlsson originally came to Pittsburgh, but do you think there's a world where Chris Letang, being as good as he is, can slide onto that first unit, maybe go on the flank, or maybe he's at the top and Karlsson's on a flank, just to give a bit of a different look?
They tried that last year, and Chris Letang absolutely hated it. And for good reason. It just completely wasn't working. So no. The morning skate, in fact, you guys can see I'm at the arena here in Philly, the Xfinity Mobile Arena. Morning skate, Karlsson had power play 1, Letang was power play 2. I think that's kind of set in stone, unless assistant coach Todd Nelson and Dan Muse just throw up their hands and put it all in a Yahtzee cup to make a point.
Love the Yahtzee Cup for sure. Yeah, Dan Kingerski with us here on Sports 1440. Has there been talk at all, Dan? Like, is this the possibility of a last hurrah between these 3 guys that have played 20 years together, and Letang and Malkin and Crosby? There's the talk of Malkin coming back, but what are your thoughts there? You never know. You might not get in the playoffs again next year. Who knows?
Yeah, it's the unspoken thing that nobody wants to ask, nobody wants to talk about. It's sort of right now. It's kind of on the very back burner. Should the Penguins lose tonight, go down 3-0, I think you're going to see a lot of that talk. I mean, look, I hate to do it, but I'll be the one asking some of those questions tomorrow if the Penguins lose tonight. But if they win tonight, then it stays on the back burner. Evgeny Malkin's situation is sort of shrouded in a little bit of mystery. I know Gino really wants to come back. He and I have had that conversation and, talked with his camp, and they kind of expected a little more communication from the Penguins through the season. And, I sort of know that the Penguins wouldn't mind turning the page from Evgeny Malkin and this veteran core. So I don't know what happens. I think a lot of people have to sit down and take a really hard look at the situation, take a deep breath, and then make a decision that might not be made yet.
It's just a really tough situation, right? I mean, it's a balance between moving forward in a good way and then having respect for these guys that have won you 3 Stanley Cups. Don't you think it's inevitable that, at least one of the 3 is probably going to be moved in the near future? I mean, Letang, Crosby, Malkin, to make some room for all these young guys coming up. They got so many first-round picks coming up.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Letang has 2 more years after this on his contract. There is a window with new ownership coming in someday. We're not quite sure when that deal will get finalized. That's maybe another variable into this whole thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you go to the next era without actually going to it. You can't just keep running it back. And, at some point you have to say, okay, what's the point of this? Sentiment, emotion set aside. Kyle Dubas gave Sidney Crosby his playoff run this year without, going to a bunch of kids who weren't good enough or untested by signing, some veterans like Brazeau and Parker Wotherspoon and Anthony Mantha to kind of fill out the roster rather than using some of their prospects. So can Dubas, realistically look at Sidney Crosby, in a month or 2 months and say, look, we gave you the playoff run. We have to move forward because there's just no point to doing it again next year. The results can't get better until we take that step backward.
Dan Kingerski from Pittsburgh Hockey Now, our guest, Kevin Karius, David Schlemko with you here on Sports 1440. Dan, you've covered this Pittsburgh-Philadelphia rivalry for a long time. As you said, you're at Xfinity Mobile Arena tonight, but it's been a while since the Flyers have been kind of relevant here. What do you think the atmosphere is going to be like in and around the building tonight in Philly?
Dave, you might be able to answer this a little better than I can, being the guy on the ice looking upward. But yeah, this place is going to be nuts. I mean, there are pictures that go viral a few years ago. I'm sure she's a lovely older woman just giving Sidney Crosby the bird in the warm-up. So I expect this to be professional wrestling, 1950s style. It's going to be wild.
Oh, man. Are they going to bring Kate Smith back, Dan, or what?
That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Put her back on the scoreboard like they did 20 years ago. That would be fantastic. But no, bringing back some nostalgia there, aren't you?
Well, you know what? Don't you remember they did sort of a duet? They had Lauren Hart and Kate Smith. Smith obviously on the screen on the Jumbotron, and they cut back and forth. I think didn't that happen a while back, Dan? Did you remember?
Yeah, that's years back. Was that maybe even the Stanley Cup final?
Oh, that's hard to remember.
Yeah, but yes, I know they have done it.
Yeah. Well, enjoy the game tonight, Dan, and thanks for coming on the morning skate, being down at the rink and everything like that. Really appreciate it. Enjoy game number 3, and maybe we'll talk to you as the playoffs progress. Thanks for coming on.
All right, have fun, boys.
Dan Kingerski, Pittsburgh Hockey Now. Man, does just a solid job covering the Penguins for a lot of years, for a long time. But yeah, well, when you mention Kate Smith to a guy, Schlemmer, and someone goes, "Oh yeah, Kate Smith." So that was in the 70s.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, it's funny. I mentioned something that happened in 1976 to the Duke here, talking about the Czechs and where they're playing the game today in the Vladimir Zarilla Arena at the under 18. But Kate Smith, what happened was Fred Shiro was the coach. So that's Ray Shiro's dad, was the coach of the Flyers back in the 70s when they were the Broad Street Bullies. Somehow Kate Smith would come on the ice and she would sing God Bless America. I don't know how it started, but every time she did, the Flyers won. So she was their good luck charm, and she would come on and sing, and the place would go bananas. Like as you just said, like it's a zoo.
Yeah.
So anyway, she passed away, I don't even know, probably 40 years ago, maybe more. So Lauren Hart, you know who that is. So she sings the national anthem in Philadelphia. It's Gene Hart's daughter, and Gene Hart was the longtime play-by-play guy of the Flyers.
Okay, that's cool.
And Lauren does such a great job. She's one of the best, when you're in Philly.
Yeah, I can think of her.
Yeah, blonde-haired woman.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what they did was they did Lauren Hart down on the ice, and then they would cut to Kate Smith recording of her doing it, and then they put them together.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think I can actually remember that now that you mention it.
Yeah. In fact, it was so good. Years ago when Paul Lorio died, and you know who that is for the Oilers, who used to sing the anthem for the Oilers.
Yeah.
I put out to the Oilers, I said, I think you guys should do the same thing and have Paul Lorio and Clark do the same thing. And it was shot down, and they were said, you don't know anything about
Terrible idea.
Terrible idea. Yeah. Robert Clark and Laurier doing it together.
That'd be awesome.
I thought it was a decent idea because that's where it all started.
The fans are singing the whole anthem anyway. Why not have them up there?
No, but that's where, like Paul Laurier, it started with him holding the mic up.
Yeah.
That's where it started. And now you've got Robert Clark in the stands. So I mentioned that to the Oilers brass. And
they missed an opportunity,
Terrible idea. Should mention here, the Oiler insiders down at the morning skate here. Jason Dickinson's not on the ice.
Oh,
Curtis Lazar is in his spot on line number 3. I would be stunned if Dickinson doesn't play. I think it's a matter here of a little.
He tweaked it pretty good
last just game. Buckled, but he came back and played hard and played well.
He did. He'll be out there.
Do you think? No one knows really what it exactly is. Do you think he's just getting the shot here and
little needle? He'll be good to go.
A little needle. So it's Szymanski's between Doc and Frederick right now on the 4th line.
Don't hate that either.
No. And Lazar's with Nugent Hopkins and Roslovic.
Yep.
Maybe more of a placeholder. So
yeah. I think the Oilers want to make a deep run. I think Dickinson's going to be an important part of it.
Massive. So there's another thing where you look at, and you can't look too far ahead of here. Again, like I said, the Ducks, they're like Utah. They're like Montreal, and Montreal's even got more playoff experience here. But the Ducks and Utah are similar. And you saw what Utah did last night to Vegas.
That's a fun series to watch, that Vegas-Utah. There's not much between those two teams.
Yeah. So, if you can get out of a series where you're not playing 7 games or 6,
right,
there's a little bit more for a guy like Dickinson or Leon or whoever.
Right. Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show. Kevin Karius, David Schlemko, Duke of Delburne, and Josh Fenwick on Sports 1440 AM radio. We're streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch.
You see it? Fusion Promo Marketing can make it. Fusion makes high-quality, memorable promotional products for businesses, sports teams, and corporate events. From vision to reality, get noticed and remembered. Fusion with a Z. Promomarketing.ca.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Would you like to be a part of history for the month of April? I'm kidding. Or as the kids say, bro, I'm joking. Would you like to help us set a record in April? Chill. Still kidding. At Northgate, we aren't trying to set any records or tell you how many vehicles we sell, and we really don't think you'd care. But what you will care about is this. Every dealer has the same costs. Trust me. You do not have a favorite kid. You get to decide where you buy. 0% financing, a great selection, and of course, great people. Stop in and see us today. 13215 97th Street or business online at northgategm.com.
You're in Northgate country.
Who's that working on the underground utilities over there? All-Star Construction, that's who. What about the street lighting? Yep, All-Star Construction. And the directional drilling, hydrobacking, neighborhood renewal, and telecommunication work? Yep. Since 2009, All-Star Construction has been doing all that and more, shaping and building Edmonton communities for land developers all around Edmonton. That's what All-Star Construction is all about.
Nothing beats getting a deal at McDonald's. Why? Because you get a deal now.
And a deal later.
Redeem an offer from the latest mailer or the McDonald's app and dig into instant savings. Plus, you earn points towards
free McDonald's.
Now that's what I call
a double whammy of deals.
Why does that keep happening? Deals sent right to your door. Check your mailbox for the latest McDonald's mailer loaded with delicious value. For a limited time at participating restaurants in Western Canada.
It's playoff time on Edmonton Sports Leader, Sports 1440. This is Andrew Walker. Join us for the Titan Supply pregame show before each Edmonton playoff game. Titan Supply, your only source for rigging, lifting, and hauling products.
Fast track your financial goals with a special rate term deposit from Vision Credit Union. For a limited time, take advantage of a great rate on 1, 3, or 5-year terms. Plus, as a Vision Credit Union member, you can earn up to 25% more on your interest through profit shares. For details, contact your branch today or visit visioncu.ca. That's visioncu.ca.
Start thinking spring road trips and off-road trips in your new Subaru Crosstrek. Stylish, rugged, and so many features. Standard on every Crosstrek. Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive, EyeSight driver assist technology, heated seats, and LED steering responsive headlights. Plus, with interest rates from 0.99%, you'll love the affordable weekly payments. No waiting, immediate delivery available. Subaru Crosstrek. Visit Subaru.ca. Welcome to Uncommon. Welcome to Subaru.
Are you overwhelmed by debt and getting non-stop calls from creditors? It can feel like there's no escape. Debt doesn't have to be a life sentence. A single call can turn things around. My name is Parveen Middleton. I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO right here in Edmonton. I can help you become debt-free with a solution just for you. Let's put an end to those calls from creditors together. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to discover your debt-free future.
Have your sports curiosity cured with the Kevin Karius Show. This is Sports 1440.
All right, welcome back to the big program, 1044 in Edmonton. Kevin Karius, David Schlemko with you here on Sports 1440. Home stretch of the big program. Schlemmer's brought to you by Cougar Paint and Collision. Where family service and pride have earned customer trust for decades. Check them out at cougarcollision.com. A lot of people are freaking out about Jason Dickinson possibly not playing tonight.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah, I mean, 2 goals.
Nice finish on the first one, eh?
So
froze them.
You know what? We got a couple we had a couple texts talking about. Okay, that was Gudis and Hines on that. Well, both Dickinson goals, I guess, because the first one was a bullet pass from Wallman.
That was a hell of a pass.
Let's talk about how that play developed for Schlemmer. And I mean, Wallman, I've been talking him up for a while here, but
your boy.
I know, but there's glimpses
a lot better
of
lately.
There's glimpses of him from last year.
Yeah.
So bust down that play about it's a great, it's a hell of a pass. It's a bullet.
Honestly, I'm having trouble remembering what happened before Wallman got the puck.
So it's, to be honest, it's just a slow developing play. And, and sometimes Wallman, he sort of looks like Bush sometimes coming out of his own end where it's nonchalant.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
100% I do.
Okay. So that's how that play looked. And he's just coming out and then kind of waiting for something to develop. 9 times out of 10, more than that, those passes don't work. It's a tip, and you avoid the icing.
I think he's selling that a little bit of deception there, like he has nothing, like he's just kind of sauntering up, and then he looks left right before he makes the pass and snaps it right. I thought it was a sick play.
Yeah, and sometimes, and I think even, and maybe it's just me being an old guy. Like when you get a bullet pass on the composite sticks like that, sometimes they're hard. I mean, that thing's coming at probably 70 miles an hour.
That was a great pickup on the back end.
That's what I mean. So for Dickinson to get that pass and not blast off his stick
in stride.
Corner,
he's flying too, right?
And then it's not the Mark Messier mule kick, but it's close. Yeah. Because if you really watch it in replay, Dickinson's stick really bends to sell the shot.
Oh yeah, he sells it hard.
Yeah,
froze him really good.
It really froze Dustall.
Yeah,
and then and
you're coming with that much speed, especially, right?
Yeah,
one step, you got the whole net.
Well, that, and I mean, again, if you're with that amount of speed, if you're not letting it go, you're probably, as a left shot, your body weight and your force is taking you to the left of the goalie, like to your left.
Yeah.
As you say, it's probably harder to go to the backhand, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're
be a skill move for sure.
Well, yeah. I mean, hey, we're not all Pavel Datsyuk, baby.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, the kind of the force, is not centrifugal force, but how everything, his weight is transferring. That's how he was able to make that
keep going that way.
And then, he's got an open net, but that pass, I mean, holy smokes.
That's money.
What have you Wallman and Emerson got the other assist on that goal too. So what have you noticed, Wallman, Emerson here?
Not much.
Yeah.
It's great.
Which is good.
Yeah. With Wallman especially, I noticed his feet look quicker. He's getting from A to B faster. He's he's getting back for pucks and he's got like an extra second to kind of look up and make the play and make a better play. And with Emerson, he's just continuing to do what has made him successful the last 2-3 months, right? He's well positioned. He's playing with intensity, urgency. He's physical. He's moving the puck efficiently.
Yeah. And again, when you're busting down the deep pairs, we haven't had that identity pair to pair to pair.
True.
For a long time.
Yeah.
It's always been with Ekholm and Bouchard. I said the other day too, Schlemmer, when the Oilers made the trade for Connor Murphy, it's almost like they got 2 defensemen in one.
They did. He's really stabilized Nurse's game, or just like been a great example for him of how like I need to play like that. That's when I'm at my best.
So Darnell Nurse had a hell of a first period. The penalty that he took, I mean, you want Darnell to play on the edge, but the cross check to Mason McTavish that resulted in the power play goal. So what do you say to a guy, or does he know because he's been around a long time? Darnell, we need you on the edge, but you can't go over it.
He knows. He just messed up a little bit. The stick rode up a little high on the cross check. He's not meaning to cross check him in the head. He's just trying to go and give him a little shot there, and he knows he messed up. Is what it is.
He rang one off the crossbar, I believe, late in the second period, in the last minute or so. So, I mean, he jumped up in the play a lot, I thought, in the first period.
It's great.
Yeah.
Supporting the rush, though, right? Using his speed to support the rush, not hanging on to it.
So explain that. Explain that where you're still cognizant of where you are and where you have to go to as well.
All right. Well, for me, Darnell's his biggest strength is his skating. All right. So when he gets into trouble for me, it's when he's going back on regroups and he doesn't move it quickly. He wants to hang on to it, look for a better play, end up throwing a sauce that goes for an icing. And now you got a D zone face off. When he's at his best, I think it's option A for him. You look up, who do you see? Option A, boom, tape to tape. And now you can join and support. And his skating is so elite that he can beat other forwards up the ice and be that fourth man on the rush.
And then you have to have the wherewithal. If the play isn't developing like you think, at what point are you bailing out? I don't know if that's the right term here.
It kind of is, though. Yeah. Yeah, you're bailing out. Well, for me, it's probably a little bit earlier because I can't get back quite as quick as Darnell. But that's more of a personal read, I think. The old saying goes like, you get in and you get out, right, in the ozone. But it's slowly changing in today's game quite a bit. I mean, you look at a guy like Roman Josi, he's almost like a rover out there. He'll stay down low below the goal line for 20 seconds.
Yeah. Is he the best example of that rover, if you want to talk about?
Yeah, maybe Burnsy a little bit more in his glory days.
Back, not now as much.
Not so much now. Just not quite as fleet of foot.
Maybe right now a guy that is the next is maybe Matthew
Schaefer. Quinn Hughes, a lot like that.
Yeah.
They're fun to watch.
Well, for sure, because, that's a
D-zone nightmare too, right?
But it's a fun, I couldn't imagine, like in your, like, 'cause you did it too, but to be like a defenseman in the NHL where you have the talent like you did, to be able to go around like that and be able to still have the vision and see everything because everything's in front of you.
Yeah.
Like, and you're seeing everything. It's not like you're someone else or you're looking behind and going, what the hell's happening here?
All right. So, well, I mean, the biggest thing with deactivating is you're causing switches, right? The most successful teams in the D zone, and you look at it with the Oilers, the way they played the last 3 months is they've really tightened it up. They're in the house and they're working outwards, right? And they all know who their guy is. But as soon as D start jumping down the wall and you get all these crisscrosses, and now guys got to start switching and really talking, and it just creates confusion.
And if you don't have that communication, conversely, so on the other side is what you're talking about. That's when you run into the big
when stuff opens up.
Yeah, and the problems for the D pairs, and even for that low floating guy on your defensive coverage, because now he's like, what am I looking at here?
Exactly.
What are you guys doing? What am I doing? So how do you think this one shakes down tonight, Schlemmer, in the sense of the start? You saw how Anaheim started the second period.
Yeah, I would expect Anaheim to have a little bit better push at the start of this game. I think you mentioned that earlier. I agree with you on that, but I think this is an opportunity tonight for the Oilers to really kind of take some of the life, some of the belief out of the Ducks. If they can come out and really dominate tonight and go up 2-0, I start putting that in the back of their heads a little bit. Are we ready for this?
If I'm Coach Q, as I said earlier, I'm starting Gauthier, Carlson, and Terry. And I want to see who Knobloch throws out there. And as I said, the start for Anaheim is so important tonight.
Yeah.
Connor Ingram, what do you think of his play?
It's tough. I was talking with one of the goalie coaches at a skate yesterday about this. I said, like, I'm not going to pretend like I'm a goalie coach or anything, but Ingram doesn't like instill a whole bunch of confidence in me. It still looks like he's kind of like swimming out of his net at times a bunch.
That one, I thought. I don't know. I think he's still kind of composed in there. He's economical, Schlemmer. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he made all the saves he's supposed to make, right? So,
yeah.
We're going to ride him.
Yeah.
No other option, really.
It's your number one option right now. How about our buddy MTR says it's more than likely just maintenance why Dickinson isn't skating. That's why everyone is freaking out. So we give each other a few shots every once in a while. I said, thanks, Tips. To him, and he goes, I wasn't talking about you, ding dong. I was talking about people texting in, wake up, KK. MTR is such an easy target. So just watch the game tonight. Another, 8 o'clock. I think it might not be 8:20 tonight, but it's going to be 8:08, whatever it is.
Be later.
Yeah, a little later. So
that's all right.
Those are fine. And you haven't even got out to golf yet, Schlemmer, here.
No, you know what? I haven't even hit the sim since I got back from spring break. It's too depressing.
Here, Duke's
got away
from driving range yesterday.
Real golf now. Soon.
Duke's not messing around. James Brown. We'll have a good week. We'll talk to you on Wednesday. By then, we're going to know, what the hell will be. Game 4 is Sunday. Game 5, if necessary, which likely will be on Tuesday. So maybe we'll bust her down Wednesday night or Wednesday morning.
Sounds good, buddy.
Thanks,
have a good weekend.
Good show, big guy. That's our co-host for Cougar Paint and Collision, David Schlemko. Coming up at the top of the hour, it is Fantasy Frenzy with
the former Rochep T-Bird.
Connor Halley and the Duke of Delburne at 12 o'clock. The Lowdown with Ellen Mitchell, 2 till 6. Jason Greger drives us home. We've got the pregame show with Andrew Walker, Landon Ferraro, and Donnie P. at 6 bells for a 2-hour pregame show. Puck drop just after 8. Postgame show to follow. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock after Fox Sports all night long to bust down game number 2. Before all that, time now for a Sports 1440 update. Brought to you by Fusion Promo Marketing. Expand your brand. High-quality promotional products for businesses, sports teams, and corporate events. Get noticed at fusionpromomarketing.ca. That's Fusion with a Z. Hey, everyone, thanks so much for listening this morning. Really appreciate it, and thanks for all the great texts and all the interaction. We could not do the show without you. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7 bells. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Until then, here is the Duke.
Sports 1440 update.
Game day for the Edmonton Oilers. They take on the Anaheim Ducks tonight from Rogers Place, leading their best-of-7 first-round series 1-0. Puck drop coming just after 8 o'clock. Adam Henrique not going to be available. Jason Dickinson also not on the ice at today's morning skate. Josh Szymanski looking to draw in on the 4th line, and Curtis Lazar taking reps in Dickinson's spot between Roslovic and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Pre-game coverage starting right here in Sports 1440 at 6. Stanley Cup playoffs elsewhere. Series shifting to Philadelphia as the Flyers taking on the Penguins. Philly up 2-0 in that series. And even at 1 game apiece, series shifting to Minnesota between the Stars and the Wild. That one underway at 7:30. In the PWHL tonight, Ottawa taking on Boston while Seattle hosts Minnesota. In the BCHL, playoff action continuing. Sherwood Park Crusaders at home from the Sherwood Park Arena playing Brooks Bandits, trailing the best-of-7, 2-1. Puck drop scheduled for 7 o'clock. IIHF U18 men's championships from Slovakia. Canada and the Slovaks currently scoreless after 1 period. Earlier on this morning, the Czechs beat the United States 3-2 in overtime, and Finland topped Norway 6-1. NBA playoffs resuming action tonight with Detroit and Orlando. Magic up 1-0 in the series. Tip off at 5 o'clock. And the OKC Thunder back at it, leading their series over the Suns 1-0. Tip off at 7:30. In the majors today, full slate of games, one of which already underway. St. Louis in Miami, Cleveland taking on Houston, and Cincy in Tampa Bay, set to get underway shortly. And at 1 o'clock, The Blue Jays will wrap up their series in SoCal against the Angels. First pitch just after 1, Eric Lauer on the bump. Coming up on Sports 1440, it is Fantasy Frenzy with Hallie and Douglas. I'm Brandon Douglas at your Sports 1440.